This is a planet where time serves as currency. On this planet, legions stand like forests hunting chronobeasts to earn time. A single unfair appointment letter at the start sends Du Fei to command an unofficial legion. This legion is dirt poor, equipped with obsolete gear, utterly combat ineffective. Worse still, every single soldier is female. Brother, wake up quickly, a crisp voice rings out as Du Fei feels a finger poking his bottom. Quit poking or it'll poke back, Du Fei mutters irritably. He opens his eyes and sees a 15 or 16-year-old blossoming girl. He freezes in surprise. Brother, you. The girl's face flushes crimson, feeling that his phrase, poke back, sounds rather lewd. She picks up a pen and deliberately pokes Du Fei's bottom twice more. Your report card came in, first place. It's at Dad's place. You lazy brother, sleeping 2 whole days. On such an important day, you're still glued to the bed without a shred of worry. Du Fei rubs his eyes and stares at the girl. Damn, who is this girl? Where's this place? He looks around the cramped room with its upper and lower bunks, feeling utterly lost. Ah, it hurts. Du Fei clutches his head as a surge of memories floods his mind. In moments, he realizes he's traveled through dimensions. The girl before him is his younger sister, Du Xiaoye. He also has a father who runs a clinic named Du Lei. Well, so dimensional travel really happened to me. Originally from Earth, Du Fei inexplicably crossed over into this world upon waking. The original owner of this body is also named Du Fei, also 18 years old with the exact same build and looks. Before he can recover from the shock, Du Fei notices a string of numbers flickering on his wrist. Remaining life, 176 hours, 23 minutes, 36 seconds. 35 seconds. 34 seconds. Holy crap. He's stunned again. Soon, drawing from the memories in his mind, Du Fei understands. This is a world governed by time. Every human is born with their lifespan displayed on their body. Lifespan is the sole currency here. It can be traded and all goods must be purchased with time. The amount of lifespan one possesses equals their wealth. In other words, when your money runs out, your life runs out. Du Fei lives in a city called Fuxing City, part of the Time Federation's territory. It's a large base city spanning tens of thousands of square kilometers, home to tens of millions of humans. Thick steel walls rise several meters high around it. This area is called the safe zone. Beyond the steel walls, mutant beasts and terrifying chronobeasts roam everywhere. The Time Federation decrees that everyone can live in the base city before age 18, attending various military academies according to family conditions. After turning 18 based on academic performance, each person is sent to an outer wall hunting legion to slay chronobeasts for time. Only after submitting 30 years of time to the Time Federation at once can one return to the base city. Of course, wealthy families can avoid the front lines by having their family directly pay 30 years to the Federation. Du Fei's father runs a clinic but spends heavily on daily living. He can't scrape together 30 years at once. Thus, going to the front lines to hunt chronobeasts is Du Fei's only option. Du Fei never knew his mother, but his father treasured him like a gem and paid for him to attend the best advanced command academy in the base city. Du Fei didn't let his father down. He graduated first in the entire academy. Barring accidents, today's appointment letter would surely make him a senior commander in a Federation legion. Many students with poor grades can only become ordinary commanders. A good start. Compared to most students, Du Fei feels fortunate. Brother, what are you daydreaming about? Hurry up and get your report card, Du Xiaoye urges. Got it. Du Fei quickly adapts to his current role. He pats his sister's head, thinking an orphan like me now has family. Then he washes his face briefly and steps out. Du Lei's private clinic. Dad, I'm here for the report card, Du Fei calls out as he enters. Clatter. For soldiers in dark black light armor raise their guns at him simultaneously. Du Fei startles. Seeing his student uniform, the soldiers relax slightly. Respected officers, he is the young master of the clinic, just graduated from the Federation Advanced Command Academy. Clinic assistant Uncle Chun hastily explains, then whispers to Du Fei, your dad is in the emergency room. Oh. Du Fei nods, sees the soldiers lower their muzzles, and sits on a bench to wait. Over an hour later, the emergency room door finally opens. Out steps an alluring, cheeks flushed, beautiful woman with lingering charm. The beauty elegantly pulls her collar up, covering the bruises on her chest and neck. After adjusting her clothes, she looks up, sees Du Fei, smiles faintly, then leaves under the escort of 4 soldiers. Du Fei clicks his tongue. From memory, he recognizes this emergency patient. Her name is Wang Shuzhen, an upper-class figure in Fuxing City. Her husband is a commander of a Federation military district in charge of 3 full division-level hunting legions. Your old man sure works hard. Worn out, huh? Du Fei enters the emergency room to see his father, Du Lei, wiping sweat. The two usually get along great, like brothers, always joking without restraint. Healing the wounded, saving the dying, a doctor's duty. Du Lei's face remains calm. Besides, for your sake, son, what's a little hardship for your old man? Hell, what's wrong with Aunt Wang? Du Fei rubs his nose with a grin. You little rascal, what are you smirking at? Don't question your father's medical ethics. Du Lei's eyes widen. Your Aunt Wang felt unwell, so I gave her an anti-radiation shot. A booster shot, you mean? Du Fei teases. Du Fei jokes knowingly. He's aware that this bargain father and Wang Shuzhen are genuinely in love, but this is way too bold. How can she keep showing up for emergency visits every 2 days and always using the operating table? Wang Shuzhen's husband is a big shot in the Federation military district. Just wait, trouble's coming. Your Aunt Wang heard you placed first in the academy and promised to arrange the best legion for you as an internship commander. Du Lei beams with pride as he hands a time storage card to Du Fei. This holds 5000 hours. A gift from your Aunt Wang. 'Tis half a year of time. Du Fei pockets the card. Was that the emergency fee for one visit? Get lost. Du Lei grins and smacks his precious son on the back of the head. You need to get a sturdier operating table, ha. You little brat. As the two fool around, a sudden airborne broadcast rings out from outside the clinic. Federation Military Command appointment issued. Du Fei of the Command Academy report immediately. Both father and son freeze, then quickly step outside. In midair, a screen appears between two drones displaying Du Fei's resume and appointment letter. 2 wheeled armored vehicles are parked at the entrance. An exceptionally beautiful female officer coldly sizes up Du Fei. Behind her stand over a dozen female soldiers in worn camouflage uniforms. Though their gear is shabby and they look travel-worn, each one holds her head high. Are you Du Fei? The female officer asks. Yes, and you are? Du Fei frowns. By order of the Federation Military Command, Deputy Commander of the Unofficial Women's Field Regiment Lu Ruobing reporting in. Lu Ruobing renders a military salute. On behalf of all 108 soldiers of the regiment, we welcome Commander Du Fei. Salute. As her words fade, the female soldiers behind her salute Du Fei in unison. Unofficial Women's Field Regiment. What kind of legion is this? Only 108 people. Like the heroes of Liangshan. A regular field regiment minimally has 1500. An unofficial, meaning a legion not on the official rolls. No, that's not right. My son scored first in the entire academy. How could he be appointed commander of an unlisted ragtag unit? Du Lei, a veteran from the battlefield, immediately flares up. A full regiment of 108 people. What a joke. This is clearly a motley squad. Never mind how terrifying the chrono beasts outside the city are. Even a random pack of common mutant beasts can't be handled by just over 100 people. If his son becomes the commander of this unit, it's a death sentence. Are you sure there's no mistake? Du Fei is just as stunned. This is no reward for an academy top scorer. There's no mistake. Lu Ruobing hands over the appointment document. Father and son stare at the Time Federation, sealed dumbfounded. Let me ask your Aunt Wang. Don't bother. She's probably in trouble herself now. Du Fei senses something is wrong. He knows trouble has arrived. Still, having read many novels in his past life, dimensional travelers should have cheat abilities. System. Du Fei tries calling out in his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully discovering this system. Du Fei. Ding. Strongest commander system has been bound. Congratulations, host, you have received a newbie gift pack. Auto-opened for you. You have received a universal. Congratulations. You have received 500 milliliters of rare material smelting agent. Du Fei exhales in relief. So there really is a system. At this moment, a crowd has gathered on the street in front of the clinic. Hey, is that the pickup for Old Dust's son? Yeah, can't you see the screen appointment with Du Fei's name? No way. Old Liu's son had terrible grades, yet they sent several brand new Raptor fighters for him. I think it's weird too. Du Fei got first place, but gets 2 old armored cars. What kind of shabby unit is this? No aircraft at all. The neighbors, seeing the dismal reception, buzz with talk. Du Lei's face burns. He pulls out a communicator to contact Wang Shuzhen. The result is nothing but static interference. No connection. Tell me which military district issued this appointment. Du Fei asks Lu Ruobing. The appointment paper bears only the Time Federation seal, not indicating any specific district. He had thought his start was good, but fate had other plans. As for the reason behind all this, even a fool could guess. Nothing else. Du Fei just wants to confirm his suspicion. The appointment was issued by the 48th Hunting Division of the Federal Revival Military Region. Since it did not violate federal regulations, Lu Ruobing answered without concealment. Sure enough, just as he had guessed. Du Fei shook his head and spread his hands to his father. Du Lei's face showed guilt, feeling sorry for his son. As a veteran, he naturally knew that the 48th Hunting Division was Wu Dagui's main division. And Wu Dagui happened to be Wang Shuzhen's husband. What a coincidence. Commander Du Fei, we are just following orders. I hope you won't make it difficult for us. Lu Ruobing's face was expressionless, her tone carrying a trace of indifference and displeasure. Seeing Du Fei and Du Lei pouting and shaking their heads, she felt humiliated inside, thinking that the father and son looked down on their team. But it didn't matter to her, because she couldn't stand that brat Du Fei anyway. Which female soldier in the Women's Field Regiment hadn't crawled through mountains of corpses and seas of blood? It's just that they were now so poor they couldn't even open the pot. If the 48th Division hadn't promised them 200 hours as compensation, Lu Ruobing would never have let a newly graduated student become commander. At this moment, Du Lei felt deeply aggrieved. Wu Dagawei was using public office to settle private grudges, intending to let his son die in the jaws of beasts. Du Fei, on the other hand, clicked his tongue, feeling that as long as the matter was clear, that was enough. After all, federal regulations stated that everyone must unconditionally obey appointments. Otherwise, one would be labeled an anti-human element and sent to do hard labor in the mines. Beep. Warning. Warning. The unaffiliated Women's Field Regiment has not paid the safe zone stay fee. You are ordered to leave Revival City within 10 minutes. The two drones issued expulsion warnings, their fuselages extending dark, menacing weapons. Lu Ruobing's face was bitter. She waved to a few female soldiers behind her and said, "Please escort Commander Du Fei into the vehicle." "Yes, Commander, please get in the vehicle." Several female soldiers, regardless of Du Fei's consent, practically sandwiched him with their bodies and escorted him toward one of the armored command vehicles. "Stop. You are kidnapping my son." Du Lei was both shocked and anxious, tears streaming down his face. However, the federal regulations left him helpless, and he could only watch as his precious son was taken away. "Dad, don't worry about me. From now on, you and my sister take care." Du Fei turned his head to say, but under the grip of the battle-hardened female soldiers, he couldn't struggle and was pushed into the armored vehicle. The neighbors all shook their heads. Old Du's son was not going to be a commander. He was clearly being press-ganged. Beep. Warning. Serious warning. Leave immediately, or you will be considered intruders. Under the expulsion of the drones, the two armored vehicles quickly disappeared from view. Soon the armored vehicles left the base city, surrounded by several meter-thick steel walls. They entered a rugged mountain road. Dense forests surrounded them, and distant mountains stretched continuously. Soon they drove into a foothill. All along the way, Lu Ruobing and 4 communication female soldiers ignored Du Fei, instead staring intently at the command room display screens. Their expressions were tense, in a state of high alert, constantly maintaining contact with the transport armored vehicle ahead. Outside the city, danger lurked everywhere. Even though this area had been cleared countless times, great peril still existed. Once they encountered a time beast, even a level 1 could easily overturn their armored vehicle. It could be said that they had risked their lives to come and escort Du Fei to his post. Du Fei, on the other hand, leaned back in his seat, closed his eyes, and opened the system interface. Host: Du Fei, position Commander, Legion, unaffiliated Women's Field Regiment, reputation 0, intimacy 0, physique unenhanced, radiation exposure 30 items, universal toolbox 1A, rare substance, smelting agent 500 milliliters. The interface was simple and clear. It seemed the system had automatically bound to this team and had already defaulted him as the commander. Regarding reputation and intimacy values, there were tips on the interface. As long as Du Fei gained the recognition of his soldiers, he could obtain reputation and intimacy values from them. These values could be used in the technology repository to exchange for various items and blueprints. However, Du Fei had just joined and wasn't familiar with the female soldiers yet. Currently, his reputation and intimacy were both 0, and the technology repository was temporarily locked. As for physique, basically everyone in this world had been exposed to radiation, but to varying degrees. For instance, the female soldiers who had been outside the city for a long time had relatively severe radiation exposure. Although Du Fei had 30 radiation exposure compared to them, he was an enviably healthy person. Universal tool. Du Fei opened the box in the inventory, revealing many tools. From tiny precision instruments, screwdrivers, welding torches, to lathes, hydraulic, robotic arms, etc. All kinds of dazzling array. In addition, there was a 500 milliliters bottle of metallic liquid. This thing was incredibly powerful. Rare substance smelting agent could extract any rare substance in this world that was otherwise impossible to extract. Amazing, such a small box contained so many advanced tools. Du Fei was secretly delighted. Modestly speaking, with this universal toolbox and his knowledge from the officer academy, he had no worries about not being able to create good weapons. Then in the future, perhaps he could forge a formidable legion. After nearly 2 hours of bumpy ride, fortunately no danger was encountered along the way. A camp surrounded by stone walls appeared ahead. They had arrived at their destination. The 2 armored vehicles drove into a dim air raid shelter and then stopped. Du Fei followed Lu Ruobing out of the vehicle and was directly led into a cave room. A room dug out of the mountain. This is the highest spec room in the entire regiment. From now on, it will be your bedroom. Lu Ruobing glanced at Du Fei's student uniform and said, "Since there are no men in the Women's Field Regiment, you'll have to make do with mine for now." She took a set of camouflage women's uniform from a simple wardrobe and placed it on the bed, then said coldly, "Please change within 10 minutes. We will assemble in 10 minutes to arrange for you to meet all the soldiers and familiarize you with the regiment's situation. Finally, do not touch the things in the wardrobe." With that, Lu Ruobing closed the door with a click and left directly. Du Fei looked around the room, the walls illuminated by fluorescent stones, a wooden bed, a table, a wardrobe, a washroom. The space was decent with all necessities, though a bit crude. This was the highest spec room in the regiment. What would the ordinary soldiers' rooms be like? Du Fei rubbed his forehead. Don't touch the things in the wardrobe. Curiosity drove him to open the wardrobe. A faint fragrance wafted out, and inside hung some black silk small items. Du Fei's nose felt hot. These must be Lu Rubing's personal belongings. It seemed she had been the owner of this bedroom and had vacated it for him. He closed the wardrobe and fixed his gaze on the camouflage uniform. Du Fei couldn't help a bitter smile. For his first meeting with all the soldiers, did he have to wear women's clothes? Knock knock. Commander, have you changed? Came a female soldier's voice from outside. Just a moment, I'm changing. In the air raid shelter on a spacious open ground, the female soldiers assembled. Lu Ruobing frowned, rubbing her forehead. Ruobing, has that male commander arrived? What's his ability like? A beautiful female soldier with dimples, a cigarette dangling from her mouth, asked. A newly graduated student with zero combat experience, Lu Ruobing replied. I thought it would be an old veteran, but it's a brat. What can a pretty boy like that do? Does he know how to fight in the field? Can he drive? Can he shoot? The dimpled beauty blew a smoke ring and kept mocking. Alas, stop it. Without him, we will be completely doomed. Tomorrow's mission is too dangerous. We cannot take Du Fei. After all, he's just a student with little worldly experience. Lu Ruobing sighed softly and said to the dimpled beauty. At this moment, wow, look. With a scream, all the female soldiers turned to look. Is this our new command? So young, but he's really handsome. Can looks feed us? Or can they fend off mutant beasts and time beasts? Yeah, probably the first to run when he sees a time beast. He'd be scared shitless. The female soldiers whispered, mostly snickering, though a few had stars in their eyes. Attention. Salute. Lu Ruobing called out steadily and saluted Du Fei. Good morning, Commander. As her voice fell, the female soldiers who had been mocking just moments before immediately straightened their backs and saluted in unison. Good morning, Commander. Du Fei was wearing a women's camouflage uniform, although tied it perfectly outlined his muscular and well-proportioned build. Coupled with his angular, handsome face, he looked very spirited and sunny. Hello, everyone. Hard work. Hard work. Du Fei returned a military salute, his gaze sweeping over all the female soldiers, feeling a little excited inside. Although there were only about 100 of them, these female soldiers were very pleasing to the eye. All were tall with long legs, and every one of them was beautiful. After a simple introduction ceremony, Lu Ruobing, the vice captain, began to introduce the situation of the entire team to Du Fei. Captain, this air raid shelter is our field team's camp, consisting of a total of 108 members. We have 3 commanders, 60 armored infantry, 10 artillerymen, 10 machine gunners, 8 communication soldiers, and 17 medical and logistics personnel. We are equipped with 2 armored vehicles. Each person has a submachine gun or pistol, and we have approximately. Lu Ruobing faltered when it came to the equipment and ammunition, pausing before continuing. There should still be over 3,000 rounds. I can take you to the ammunition depot later, but in short, we don't have much left. Are there no drones? Lu Ruobing shook her head and smiled bitterly. Drones. It was simply a far-fetched dream, something she wouldn't dare to even imagine. Du Fei. He only now understood that the most valuable assets of the entire field team were the 2 armored vehicles that came to pick him up. At this moment, a female communication soldier suddenly reported. Lu Ruobing looked at the communication soldier. Message from the 48th Division, ordering our women's field team to arrive at coordinates 26971 at Heishui River by 10 a.m. tomorrow to participate in combat. What? Heishui River? The dimpled beauty Xia Ying jumped up angrily, saying, they are too despicable. Didn't they say it was Honggu Dam? Lu Ruobing frowned. How far do we need to detour? A detour of 30 kilometers, Vice Captain. It's not just a matter of detouring. The key is our equipment. No need to say more. Respond to the 48th Division. Our women's field team will depart at 6 a.m. tomorrow and arrive at Heishui River by 10 a.m. Lu Ruobing commanded. Once the order was given, Du Fei frowned. He sensed a hint of helplessness and sorrow from the expressions on all the female soldiers' faces. Can I interrupt? Although I just took office, I am also part of the field team and should have the right to know the specifics of this operation, right? Du Fei looked at Lu Ruobing with a blank expression. I just reported to you that our team has 3 commanders, and Xia Ying is one of them. If you want to know the specifics of this operation, let her report to you. I still need to check if the detection device is repaired. Lu Ruobing pointed to the dimpled beauty and left while rubbing her temples. Du Fei looked at the dimpled beauty Xia Ying. Captain, since you want to know the details of this operation, then have a seat. Xia Ying kicked a stone next to her, then handed over a cigarette, a slight smirk on her lips, saying, this one is moistened with my saliva. Would you like to have a puff? Du Fei took the cigarette and sat down. Xia Ying was slightly surprised and pulled out a skull-patterned lighter. Cough, cough. Cough. Damn. Du Fei took a puff and immediately choked, tears streaming down his face. What a kick. Xia Ying and the surrounding female soldiers all burst into laughter. Du Fei took another puff, coughing while staring at Xia Ying's beautiful face. Are you trying to say I'm very cough cough? I meant to say are your lungs very black? Heh. Xia Ying took a deep breath and blew out a smoke ring, a hint of sadness in her beautiful eyes. That expression seemed as if she had already reached the end of life, but whether her lungs were black or not was of no concern to her. Alright, let me tell you the specifics. First, let you understand our women's field team. We do not have an organization, we are an irregular army, and do not qualify for federal financial support. Years ago, we were discarded by the Federation like trash, and all expenses are solely dependent on our own efforts. You should understand this, right? Xia Ying said lightly. Du Fei nodded slightly. He understood these things. In this world, class distinctions were clear, and there were basically no human rights. Especially for irregular armies like this, the Time Federation wouldn't care about their lives at all. Our women's field team is currently in a dire situation, meaning we have reached a dead end, and we are even running out of food. Fortunately, we received a mission from the 48th Division. We should thank you for that. Xia Ying looked at Du Fei, then continued, the 48th Division has ordered us to accept you as the commander and cooperate with them for tomorrow's beast hunting operation. After completing the mission, we will be allocated 2,000 hours. They have 2 hunting areas tomorrow. One is Honggu Dam, and the other is Heishui River. At that time, the 48th Division will conduct a sweep, originally assigning us to assist in encircling the Timebeasts at Honggu Dam. However, those bastards just ordered us to go to Heishui River. Du Fei interrupted and asked, what's the difference? Xia Ying glanced at Du Fei, her beautiful eyes revealing a look as if she were looking at a child. For us, there is still a glimmer of hope at Honggu Dam. At Heishui River, it's certain death. The Timebeast at Honggu Dam is level 1, while the Timebeast at Heishui River is level 2. Using our current weapons to hunt a level 1 Timebeast is already quite difficult, let alone the level 2 Timebeast at Heishui River. Although our mission is to assist them in encircling the Timebeasts in a rampaging state, do not fear gun. A single claw from a level 2 Timebeast can smash our armored vehicle into pieces. It's simply beyond terrifying. Du Fei fell into deep thought. Although he had never seen a Timebeast, he had learned quite a bit about them in his academy days. In a rampaging state, the Timebeasts were indeed as terrifying as Xia Ying had said, perhaps even more so. So, does that mean the field team is essentially going to die for nothing tomorrow? Du Fei raised his head and said. At this moment, Lu Ruobing, having finished her tasks, walked over and said, regardless, we must fight. Going means there is hope, while not going means waiting for death. What do we have to fight with? Do we fight with the 108 lives of the field team? Who gives you that right? Du Fei shot a glare at Lu Ruobing and continued, I disagree. The voice echoed throughout the air raid shelter. Suddenly there was silence, and all the female soldiers fell silent. Lu Ruobing clenched her teeth and said coldly, I know this mission is tantamount to going to our deaths. But do you know how important 2,000 hours is to us? It's the only hope for our women's field team to survive at present. You are the son of a wealthy family, and you can directly parachute in as a commander without knowing what we have been through over the years. When we were 18, we also left the base city, just like you now, to join the Corps. We once hoped to save enough time, over 30 years, to hand in to the Federation and then return to the base city to live a stable life. But what is the reality? Lu Ruobing smiled bitterly and continued, all I see are loved ones dying tragically and sisters around me falling one by one. Radiation viruses and fierce beasts are torturing us at all times. For every time beast we hunt, 20 of the time gained is taken by the Federation, and every transfer of time incurs a 10 handling fee. Drinking water, food, and living supplies must be purchased from Federation outposts, 3 times more expensive than in the base city. We really want to return to the base city to live, but we need to hand in 30 years of time to go back. We have also hunted many time beasts and obtained a lot of time, yet we still have nothing to show for it. Where has all the time gone? Lu Ruobing stared at Du Fei and asked, can you answer me? Du Fei was stunned into silence. Everything Lu Ruobing said was something he had not learned in his memories, meaning he had not studied it in the academy. Where has all the time gone? Needless to say, the time had been drained by the Time Federation. Every person must leave the base city at 18 except for those wealthy enough to afford 30 years of time. In other words, the children of the poor are destined to become tools for the Federation to extract time from the moment they arrive in the outer city. It's harder to return to the city than to reach the heavens. At this moment, Du Fei felt a strange bitterness in his heart, because he saw all the female soldiers with their heads bowed, covering their faces and weeping. Including Lu Ruobing and Xia Ying, both had tears on their faces. After a while, the female soldiers stabilized their emotions and quickly returned to their usual state. Let's do this. I still have some time to spare for emergencies, so we won't risk our lives for 2,000 hours. Du Fei said. Liu Rubing's eyes showed a hint of surprise, but it quickly vanished, and she shook her head, saying, if you had said this 3 days ago, it would have been better. The task has already been accepted. Whether we want to go or not, we have to go. You should understand the consequences of defying orders at such a critical moment, right? Du Fei slapped his forehead, only worrying about the safety of his subordinates and forgetting this point. The Federation's regulations, damn regulations. It's dark now, dinner time has arrived, everyone is dismissed. Liu Ruobing waved to the female soldiers, then said to a pure and sweet female soldier, Gan Ting, accompany the commander for dinner. After saying that, she pulled Xia Ying to discuss the battle plan. Commander, hello. Gan Ting came to Du Fei and saluted softly, saying, I am Gan Ting, a communication soldier. I will take you to dinner. You could tell that she was a relatively introverted and gentle beauty. Du Fei nodded and followed her towards the dining place was a relatively large natural cave with wooden planks serving as tables and stones as stools. As Du Fei entered the cave, he saw the female soldiers queuing in an orderly manner to get their food. He hadn't eaten anything since he crossed over and was somewhat hungry. Commander, there are stones, you sit first, I will go get your food. Gan Ting finished speaking and walked directly towards a few cooks. Du Fei casually found a stone to sit on, observing the meals of the female soldiers beside him. He saw that their bowls contained a thick porridge-like mush with a small plate of dark brown side dishes. Commander, your food is here, please eat. Gan Ting set down Du Fei's food, then picked up her own bowl and quietly began to eat. Du Fei looked at his food, a large bowl of scallion meat noodles along with a sausage. Looking at Gan Ting's bowl, her food was the same as the other female soldiers, consisting of mushy porridge and dark brown side dishes. Why is my meal different from yours? Du Fei asked. Originally, everyone's meals were the same, but the deputy commander specified that your meal standard should be higher than ours. The deputy commander bought some white flour, vegetables, and meat when he went to the base city to pick you up. After buying, now each of us has only around 50 hours left. Du Fei frowned and then asked, how is time usually allocated in the field corps? Time obtained is evenly distributed. If there are expenses, everyone shares them, so the time we all possess is basically the same. In life and death, we share hardships. If we live together. If we die together. Gan Ting said. After hearing this, Du Fei fell silent. In other words, all the female soldiers now had less than 3 days of life left. It seems the situation in this female field corps was worse than he had imagined. Commander, hurry up and eat, Gan Ting said, then lowered her head to drink the mush. Here, you eat mine. Off. I want to try your mush. Commander, how can that be? Follow orders. Without further discussion, Du Fei picked up Gan Ting's mush and pushed the scallion meat noodles towards her. Then Du Fei directly took a sip of the mush and ate a bite of the dark brown side dish. Ugh, Du Fei nearly vomited. What is this stuff? The mush tasted like glue without flavor, while the dark brown side dish was even harder to swallow, gritty and with a strange taste. What kind of food is this? Du Fei asked with a twitching mouth. The mush is made from cassava dug up by logistics soldiers on the mountain, processed into powder, and the dark vegetable is a type of wild vegetable. However, the freshly dug cassava and wild vegetables are radioactive and need to be soaked in disinfectant for a period and dried before they can be eaten. Mainly, we are not wealthy and cannot afford the food in the Federation outpost. Luckily, there is plenty of cassava on the mountain. Having something to eat is already quite good. Commander, this is not appropriate. I am already used to drinking cassava porridge. Gan Ting glanced around and said softly to Du Fei, do you want to defy orders? What's wrong with switching meals with the commander? Hurry up and eat. Du Fei reprimanded Gan Ting, then relying on his willpower drank that bowl of mush. As for the dark brown wild vegetable, he chose not to eat it. It was hard to believe that all the female soldiers, including Liu Ruobing, had been eating this kind of food all along. He didn't know how they had survived all these years. Seeing that Du Fei had issued the order to switch meals, Gan Ting had no choice but to comply. Ding. Reputation 10 points. Du Fei was taken aback and looked at Gan Ting. He saw gratitude in her eyes, savoring her food. Finish this sausage too. No. Commander, you eat it. I feel embarrassed enough eating the meat noodle. It would be too much to have your sausage too. This is an order, open your mouth. Commander, don't. Before Gan Ting could refuse, Du Fei stuffed the sausage into her mouth. Ding. Reputation 10 points. The system notification sounded again. At that moment, Liu Ruobing and Xia Ying walked in from outside and sat down among the female soldiers. Liu Ruobing lowered her head, eating cassava porridge and wild vegetables. Xia Ying did not rush to eat, but instead puffed smoke from a cigarette. She blew smoke rings, her lips sensual, and 2 charming dimples appeared on her face. It must be said that she was indeed very beautiful, but her smoking habit is really severe. Du Fei frowned. Commander, you may not know, but Sister Xia Ying cannot go without smoking, Gan Ting said. Cannot go without smoking. Du Fei found it a bit strange. Sister Xia Ying's lungs have suffered very serious radiation. Tobacco can relieve her pain. Gan Ting had already finished eating and was tidying up her utensils as she spoke. However, the radiation she suffered is fatal. She could die at any moment. Du Fei was very surprised because Gan Ting's tone and attitude while saying this seemed very casual. Seeing Du Fei's unusual expression, Gan Ting forced a smile and said, "Too many sisters have died around us. We are all used to it. The radiation in the wild is several times that of the base city, and each of us has suffered varying degrees of damage. For example, Sister Xiaoying has lung issues, Sister Ruobing has liver problems, while some other sisters have shoulder and neck issues, some abdominal. There are too many." Understanding this, Du Fei truly felt the difficult circumstances these female soldiers faced. Their lives were simply inhumane. Their strength could only be described as an infinite desire for life. Du Fei felt a mix of emotions inside, and he couldn't help but ask Ganting, "What part of your body has suffered from radiation?" Me. Hearing Du Fei's question, Ganting was slightly taken aback. After realizing it, her face turned red, and she stammered, "Commander, I can't say it out loud." "All right, then you don't have to say it." Du Fei expressed understanding. From Ganting's expression, it was evident that the part of her body that suffered radiation was definitely something difficult to mention. Therefore, he no longer pressed her to answer this question. After understanding the situation, Du Fei fell silent. Although the unofficial military corps mostly acted like bandits without military discipline. However, no matter what, these female soldiers had kind hearts and were a group of pitiful people. Moreover, the system had already bound this military corps defaulting to these subordinates. Thus, the first thing to resolve now is the crisis of the Blackwater River tomorrow. After making the decision, Du Fei stood up and said, "Who can take me to the ammunition depot? I want to take a look." The female soldiers who were eating immediately glanced over at Lu Ruobing and Xiaoying. Lu Ruobing rubbed her temples, while Xiaoying stubbed out her cigarette, pouting without saying a word. "Captain, our side is the living area. The ammunition depot is in the adjacent air raid shelter." Lu Ruobing stood up, sensing that Du Fei was just bored, and said, "It's dark outside now. Oh, it's not safe to go out. Let's wait until tomorrow to take you to see it. I need to clarify the weaponry situation of the field battalion right now. Oh, don't forget him, the captain," Du Fei said, staring at Lu Ruobing with a frown. Seeing Du Fei's firm attitude, Lu Ruobing felt quite speechless. Although Du Fei was just an inexperienced student, he was after all the captain appointed by the Federation. Lu Ruobing helplessly said to Sun Xiaoqian, who was in charge of the ammunition depot, "Since the captain wants to take a look, you should accompany him." Then she whispered close to Sun Xiaoqian's ear, "Just show him a glance. Those munitions are our lifeline." "Understood." Sun Xiaoqian nodded and confidently said, "Don't worry, Vice Captain, I will ensure the captain's safety." After saying this, she saluted Du Fei. "Hello, Captain, my name is Sun Xiaoqian, please follow me." At the entrance of the air raid shelter, a heavy old-style password lock was tightly closed. Sun Xiaoqian stepped forward, grasped the metal dial, and began to turn it. 3597. The situation was special, and Du Fei could only memorize the password in silence. As the password dialed into the correct position, the lock clicked open. At this moment, it was pitch dark outside, and the distant roars of beasts echoed. Due to the rampant wild beasts at night, the field battalion only set up monitoring devices outside the air raid shelter and did not station soldiers. "Captain, we need to move quickly," Sun Xiaoqian said, holding a detection device. Although it showed that the area was safe, she still reminded him cautiously. After saying this, she quickly walked towards the adjacent ammunition depot. Du Fei followed her, and passing by a pile of rubble, inadvertently noticed something unusual about the stones. Many of the stones were covered with silver specks, subtly shimmering in the darkness. Ding. Detected mithril, or can be refined into rare material mithril. A system notification suddenly rang in his mind. These stones are mithril. Description of mithril: everyone in the world would fight for it. It is an indestructible, magical metal. Can be used to make mithril bullets or arrows possessing deadly lethality against all living beings. Can be used to create defensive armor, as light as a feather, as tough as dragon scales. Its beauty is akin to pure silver, and its luster will not fade with time. Click to expand more. Good stuff, definitely a rare material. Du Fei felt ecstatic inside. Seeing him stop, Sun Xiaoqian impatiently urged, "Captain, can we hurry up?" Du Fei steadied his mind and followed her to the front of the ammunition depot. As Sun Xiaoqian turned the metal dial again, Du Fei once more memorized the password in silence. The lock opened. Click. Sun Xiaoqian flipped the switch for the backup power, and a few wall lamps lit up in the large cave. Du Fei walked in to inspect all the weapons and equipment, while Sun Xiaoqian stayed close by. Is it a... After a round, he found only outdated and heavy weapons, extremely primitive. In the corner were 2 rugged mountain motorcycles, and aside from a few shoulder-mounted grenade launchers and several usable machine guns, the rest were just a pile of scrap metal. The only valuable items were the remaining ammunition. Over 500 rounds of 20mm cannon shells, over 100 rounds of 7.62mm machine gun ammo, 1500 rounds of regular bullets, and 150 kilograms of gunpowder. Du Fei felt utterly exhausted. They were extremely poor. This amount of ammunition was truly pathetic. If they went to battle, it wouldn't be enough for 5 minutes. However, Du Fei's mind raced, and soon he formulated a plan. Although there are only over 300 rounds of various ammunition left, fortunately, there are 150 kilograms of gunpowder, which can be used to make some more bullets. The most important thing is that the stones outside can be refined into mithril. With mithril, ordinary bullets can be easily modified into mithril bullets. If that's the case, the mission at Heishui River tomorrow will have a chance of success, Du Fei thought to himself. However, he could sense from Sun Zioqian's expressions and demeanor that she was on guard. What does this indicate? It indicates that in the eyes of the soldiers, he was still just a rookie, not someone to be taken seriously. If he told them he could manufacture mithril bullets, they would probably think he was crazy. Because currently this world has not mastered the technology to refine mithril. Although the Federation's top battalions possess a very small amount of mithril, it is merely naturally occurring mithril particles. Naturally occurring mithril particles are scarce, which shows how precious mithril is in this world. It's just a pity that I don't have any reputation right now, otherwise I could see what good things are in the technology vault. With no other choice, he could only make a batch of mithril bullets himself. After a brief inspection, Du Fei quietly followed Sun Shaoqian out. Inside the air raid shelter, the female soldiers had turned off the lights early and fallen into a deep sleep. Lu Ruobing and Xia Ying lived next door to Du Fei, and the two finally finalized their combat plan. Ying Bao, for tomorrow's mission I want. Lu Ruobing pondered for a moment and looked at Xia Ying, saying, considering your physical condition, I want you to stay at the camp. Hey, what are you doing? Are you insulting me? Xia Ying rolled her eyes and blew a puff of smoke in Lu Ruobing's face. My physical fitness is no worse than yours. I'm more developed than you. If you don't believe me, let's undo our buttons and compare. Saying this, she directly pushed Lu Ruobing down, ready to unbutton and compare sizes. You little brat, stop messing around. Who's bigger? You are bigger, you are bigger. Are you convinced? Convinced. Ha ha. The two played around for a while, sitting on the ground with disheveled hair, revealing a hint of melancholy in each other's eyes. Ying Bao, tomorrow will be a battle with no hope of survival. We may not come back. Lu Ruobing said. I know if we're going to die, let's die together. Xia Ying nodded, stood up, and patted Lu Ruobing's shoulder. I'm going back to sleep now. After saying this, she left the room and returned to her own. Lu Ruobing sighed softly, closed the door, and prepared to sleep. Before sleeping, she seemed a bit worried and took out her communicator to ask, Shaoqian, how is that student doing? Don't worry, Ruobing, I personally escorted him back to his room. He should be asleep by now, Sun Shaoqian replied. That's good, get some rest, and tomorrow he will be in your care. Yes. Under the hush of midnight, Du Fei stood outside the air raid shelter, preparing to refine the mithril ore. To guard against sudden attacks by ferocious beasts, he first opened the armory's blast door. Should an emergency arise, he could retreat inside instantly. Once all preparations were complete, Du Fei approached the pile of mithril ore. The stones were relatively small. No need for the mechanical arm from his universal toolkit. First, he retrieved a vial of rare metallurgical reagent from his system storage. He unscrewed the cap. A built-in pipette extended from the lid. Drawing up one full dose of reagent, he began a preliminary test on a small fragment of ore. Plop. With delicate precision, Du Fei let a single drop fall onto the ore's surface. Then, magic unfolded. Ripples shimmered across the stone like water disturbed by a breeze. The silver specks scattered across its surface gathered inward, then vanished entirely. Where had it gone? Just as Du Fei frowned in bewilderment, a droplet of luminous silvery liquid welled forth from within the stone and solidified almost instantly. In the next moment, the ore lost all luster, and upon the ground rested a sliver of metallic silver, no larger than a thumbnail. This is mithril. Du Fei picked it up, nearly weightless, as light as plastic. Yet when he squeezed it, it resisted with unyielding hardness. Truly feather-light, yet dragon-scale tough. Ecstatic, Du Fei hadn't expected the refinement process to be so effortless. Now he commenced full-scale refining. After processing several pieces, he quickly mastered the precise dosage of reagent required. Once ripples appeared on the ore's surface, the reagent was taking effect. Smaller fragments needed only one drop, while larger ones required 2 or 3 before the telltale undulations emerged. Within half an hour, Du Fei had processed every last piece of ore. He consumed roughly 30 milliliters of reagent and yielded over 40 mithril ingots, ranging from thumbnail size to bottle cap sized. The entire operation proceeded flawlessly. No ferocious beasts disturbed him. His spirits soared. Gathering his tools, he slipped swiftly into the armory and sealed the heavy door behind him. First, coat the existing ammunition with mithril. Du Fei opened every ammunition crate, surveying over 3,000 rounds of bullets and artillery shells, murmuring softly to himself. It wasn't technically difficult. Merely coating each projectile tip with a thin layer of mithril would suffice. Artillery shells, however, posed greater complexity. Each required disassembly mithril plating applied directly to the inner projectile, then meticulous reassembly. Du Fei took a deep breath, drew out an assortment of essential tools from his universal tool kit, and fashioned a crucible from scrap steel. He placed all the mithril ingots inside and added an entire pipette full of reagent. Within 60 seconds, the metal liquefied, astonishingly without generating any heat. Had high temperatures arisen, disaster would have followed. Applying molten metal to live ordnance risked detonation. Coating bullets demanded no special expertise, only a minimal precise application of mithril to each bullet tip. The layer was exceedingly thin, not fully enveloping the tip. Mithril was scarce, after all, as conservation was imperative. Yet even this sparing application rendered each round lethally effective against mutated beasts and chronobeasts alike. After more than an hour, Dufay had coated every standard rifle and machine gun round. Then with unwavering focus, he began dismantling each artillery shell, one by one. Fuses, propellant casings, driving bands. The internal architecture presented no challenge. Disassembly and reassembly flowed smoothly, second nature to him. After considerable time, every shell's projectile bore its gleaming mithril sheath, and each shell was perfectly reassembled. Externally, they appeared untouched, yet now they ranked among the deadliest weapons ever forged. Previously, such shells inflicted negligible harm upon chronobeasts. Now a single round could obliterate one outright. Against mutated beasts, a single detonation could fell an entire pack. So Dufay judged. The spectacle would surely leave every witness stunned. Next, he turned to manufacturing fresh ammunition, using the armory's stockpiled gunpowders and scrap copper. Paradoxically, the simplest tasks often prove most demanding. A bullet is elementary in concept, yet crafting one flawlessly remains an exacting art. Each component, the casing, primer, propellant, charge, and projectile, must meet absolute dimensional precision. The process was intricate, demanding patience above all. Presses, lathes, custom dies, precision, measuring instruments, all came into play. By nearly 6 o'clock, dawn's first pale light seeped across the horizon. The armory now held over 2,000 freshly minted mithril-coated rounds. Inside the air raid shelter, the female soldiers had already risen. Report emergency in the armory. During her routine surveillance check, a female soldier spotted a shadowy figure on the monitor and immediately alerted Lu Ruobing. What a emergency assembly, now. Lu Ruobing and Xia Ying recoiled in shock. They sprinted outward, the entire squad surging behind them as they poured from the shelter. Clang. The armory's blast door suddenly slid open. Dufay froze, discovered. It's you. What are you doing in the armory? When Lu Ruobing and Xia Ying saw Dufay, soot-streaked and disheveled, they too paused stunned. Dufay smiled faintly. Nothing much. I've upgraded your ammunition. Holy. Xia Ying stamped her foot, erupting with 2 explosive curses, her voice cracking from Lu Ruobing's face paled, fury threatened to overwhelm her. Heavens above, you actually tampered with our ordnance. Lu Ruobing and Xia Ying seethed with fury as if ready to devour Dufay on the spot. Seeing the armored vehicles emerge, Dufay abandoned all thought of confronting them and strode out of the ammunition depot without a backward glance. He seized a brush and swiftly coated the remaining liquidized mithril onto both armored vehicles. The mithril was nearly exhausted. Only critical areas could be treated. Xia Ying dashed after him, gritting her teeth. Brat, have you lost your mind? Those rounds are our lifeline. Lu Ruobing demanded angrily. What exactly have you done? I can't explain it to you now, but once we reach the Heishui River, you will follow my orders without question. Dufay didn't turn around, continuing to apply the mithril with urgent haste, certain they hadn't even heard of mithril before. Dare you call me a brat? Just wait. They'll make you kneel and call me father with utter conviction. Xia Ying fumed, her chest heaving with indignation. Follow your orders. On what grounds? Lu Ruobing barked. Sun Shaoqian. Present. Sun Shaoqian snapped to attention and instantly drew her sidearm, pressing the barrel against Dufay's temple. Don't move. Dufay flinched. What do you think you're doing? Lu Ruobing's dark brows knotted in stern command. Take him back. Confine him securely. Yes, ma'am. Sun Shaoqian seized Dufay in a firm grip, driving her knee sharply into his lower back. Captain, please accompany me to your quarters. Cooperate quietly. Such was the unrefined, lawless conduct of this irregular field regiment. Outrageous. You dare imprison the supreme commander. Struggling helplessly in Sun Xiaoqian's iron hold, Dufay finally cried out in exasperation. Those bullets have been converted into mithril rounds. Use them sparingly. Before the words faded, he was whisked away like a chick snatched by an eagle, dragged deep into the air raid shelter. Infuriating. A dangerously unpredictable lunatic. Mithril rounds. Nonsense, just more ravings. Lu Ruobing and Xia Ying shook their heads, exchanged a swift glance, and hurried back into the ammunition depot, each scooping up a handful of cartridges. They loaded them into empty magazines and emerged, one leading, one following. Bang, bang, bang. Far off, 2 massive trees exploded in splinters. Good, no anomalies detected. Lu Ruobing exhaled in quiet relief. Inside his confined quarters, Dufay sighed wordlessly at the sound of gunfire. They still don't grasp it. Profligate women. Shall we test a few artillery shells too? Xiaoying asked. No need. The shells remain untouched, and time is already against us. Lu Ruobing turned to address all female soldiers. Full equipment check. Immediately. Yes, ma'am. Report an unexpected surplus of ammunition has appeared in the depot. Lu Ruobing paused briefly, then replied, load it all. Ruobing is confining him truly appropriate. After all, he is our captain. Xiaoying frowned. Sigh. It's for his own good. He's still just a child. Lu Ruobing sighed softly, then added, rest assured. If we fail to return before nightfall, Sun Shaoqian will lead him to safety elsewhere. Xiaoying lifted her gaze toward the ashen sky and nodded silently. Objective Heishui River, move out. Yes, ma'am. The two armored vehicles roared to life. The female soldiers sprinted in formation, advancing toward the Heishui River. The moment the women's field regiment departed the camp, a mountain wind swept across the valley. Far in the distance, the two great trees dissolved into ash, scattering like spectral dust upon the breeze. Fuxing Military District, 48th Division. Sir, the irregular women's field regiment reports departure. They are en route to the Heishui River, reported an aide to Division Commander Jiao Dakue, clad in black uniform. Excellent. Jiao Dakue nodded, then commanded, issue orders, evacuate the Heishui River Mobile Brigade entirely. Redirect them to the Honggu Dam hunting zone. Then deploy drones to lure all chronobeasts and mutant beasts in the Heishui River region to grid coordinates 26971. Sir, does this mean abandoning the Heishui River hunting zone? The aide looked perplexed. This mission was assigned to the 48th Division by High Command. That madwoman's founding of the Women's Field Regiment has long been High Command's thorn. Her remaining followers must now be eradicated, and incidentally eliminate an 18-year-old who won't live past his prime. Given Sky Eye surveillance, High Command demands absolute operational deniability, flawless, immaculate execution. As Jiao Dakue spoke, a cold, predatory smile flickered across his face. Federal regulations forbade interregimental combat. Any violation would incur severe punishment. But letting the Women's Field Regiment perish in the jaws of chronobeasts, that violated no law. Yes, sir, brilliant strategy. The aide bowed and withdrew to relay the orders. 0930 a.m. Deputy Commander, the coordinates 26971 will be reached in 10 minutes. Order full acceleration, arrive ahead of schedule. From the armored command vehicle, Lu Ruobing issued the command. Yes, ma'am. The female soldiers pressed forward without pause, increasing speed. Report, emergency situation. Communications officer Gan Ting rushed forward, clutching her scanner. Lu Ruobing glanced at the display. Dense clusters of green and red blips surged ever closer. Green indicated mutant beasts, red chronobeasts. Lu Ruobing recoiled in shock. What's happening? How is this possible? Where is the 48th Division? Why so many beasts? Simultaneously, Xia Ying and the others aboard the transport vehicle also detected the anomaly. Confirmed massive concentrations of mutant beasts and chronobeasts at grid 26971. Hostile forces approaching from left and right flanks. All units, enter combat readiness. Lu Ruobing's expression hardened. Confirm exact numbers immediately. Every soldier tensed, rushing instinctively toward the two armored vehicles. Gan Ting reported swiftly, 8 level 2 chronobeasts, each commanding a mutant beast swarm, within 3 kilometers. Before she finished, the ground trembled violently, guttural roars swelled like a tidal wave closing in from afar. 8 level 2 chronobeasts, 2 full mutant swarms. Lu Ruobing clenched her fists until her palms sweated. Each flank is led by a level 2 chronobeast. That complicates everything. Level 2 chronobeasts reach speeds of 150 miles per hour. We cannot retreat in time. Even a single one could annihilate us utterly. With our current ammunition load, manual fire from autocannons and machine guns won't sustain us beyond 10. Worse, the 6 remaining level 2 chronobeasts trail behind both swarms. Gan Ting analyzed the dire scenario with rapid precision. The situation was catastrophic, an extinction-level ambush. Against level 2 chronobeasts, the Women's Field Regiment was no stronger than an egg striking steel. Orders autocannons and machine guns. Engage chronobeasts exclusively. All infantry, fall back to the gully southwest of our position. Use rock formations for cover. Engage the mutant swarms only. Hold them beyond 300 meters. Prepare for last stand resistance. After issuing battle commands, Lu Ruobing turned to Gan Ting. Have we re-established contact with the 48th Division? Their channel is dead, Sister Ruobing. I suspect a trap laid specifically for us. Gan Ting answered. Damn Wu Dague. He'll rip his goddamn throat out. Lu Ruobing's eyes blazed. Rarely had she uttered such profanity. Cursing, she snatched a submachine gun and wrenched open the armored vehicle's hatch. Sister Ruobing, what are you doing? Gan Ting stared stunned. Gan Ting, of our original 2,000 field soldiers, only 108 remain. My mother once told me you could become an exceptional commander, yet I never granted you that chance. Accepting this mission from the 48th Division was my mistake. I apologize for ignoring your warnings earlier. I will stay outside with the sisters to shield the command vehicle, lead the rest to safety. Lu Ruobing stood facing the distant churning tide of beasts, her back to Gonting, as she delivered her final order. Sister Ruobing, you can't. You must not leave the command vehicle. Gonting urgently interjected. Among the sisters, only you few have suffered less radiation. You are the hope for the continuation of our women's field combat team. Lu Ruobing's expression darkened as she solemnly stated, once we break through, you all must retreat without concern for us. With that, Lu Ruobing jumped directly off the command vehicle. The 5 or 6 female communication soldiers on the vehicle had tears in their eyes, covering their faces and weeping. Gunner and machine gunners, take your positions. Open fire as soon as the time beast is within range. Gonting wiped away her tears and swiftly commanded, yes. All units prepare. Unload all ammunition from the transport vehicle. Outside the command vehicle, the infantry commander shouted with anguish, report. An additional 2,600 bullets without federal identification. No federal identification. The infantry commander was taken aback. This was somewhat strange. Without time to ponder, she waved her hand. Don't worry about that, distribute them all. You all are doing great, Lu Ruobing remarked. The commander was momentarily stunned upon seeing her. Sister Ruobing, make full use of rocks and ditches for cover and prepare for battle. Lu Ruobing furrowed her brows, staring intently at the approaching herd of beasts. Sister Ruobing, I still have a machine gun here, but there aren't many bullets left, the commander said. Then hand the machine gun to me and use it sparingly. Lu Ruobing finished speaking, diving into the ranks of female soldiers to build a defensive line with them. All the female soldiers tearfully saluted her. The beast herd will enter firing range in 30 seconds. Prepare the artillery. 30, 29, 28, 27. Inside the command vehicle, Gonting focused intently on the detector, issuing commands. The female soldiers hid behind the rocks, filled with tension. Lu Ruobing's finger rested on the machine gun trigger, her gaze fixed ahead. Lu Ruobing, what the hell is going on? We agreed to die together, I won't let this go. Inside the transport armored vehicle, Xia Ying spotted Lu Ruobing and immediately began to curse. She was preparing to disembark and fight alongside Lu Ruobing, but it was already too late. Boom. Roar. In an instant, the ground trembled violently, trees in the distance swayed, and dust rose into the air. 2 terrifyingly shaped giant beasts led a black mass of mutated beasts surging in from both sides. The 2 giant beasts occasionally crawled, occasionally stood upright, towering over 3 meters tall. Their heads were flat with deep-set eye sockets glowing red, and they had tentacles and fangs at their mouths, occasionally making a cawing sound to the beast herd. The giants had dark, sharp claws, and their bodies were covered in shiny, thick scales as if clad in an impenetrable iron armor. They appeared eerie and terrifying, unmistakably alien creatures. These 2 alien giants were the LV-2 Timebeasts. All the female soldiers stood ready, each displaying a look of determination to face death. They knew that facing the LV-2 Timebeasts, their chances of survival were virtually zero. This would be the last battle of their lives. Even though their weaponry would not deal significant damage to the LV-2 Timebeasts, they were still prepared to fight to the death. The beast herd has entered firing range. Fire the grenades. Gonting decisively commanded. In the next moment, whoosh, 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 boom, boom. Several grenades exploded among the herd of beasts. The battle commenced. What's going on? Gonting noticed something unusual on the detector. She saw that many of the densely packed mutated beasts had disappeared, leaving several blank areas. Those areas were precisely where the grenades had struck. It was evident that several grenades had taken down numerous mutated beasts. This couldn't be. When did the power of ordinary grenades become so strong? Continue firing the grenades. Gonting swiftly issued another order, then fixed her eyes on the detector. Boom, boom. This time she saw clearly. After the explosions, many beasts were dead or injured. Could it be the commander? Gonting suddenly recalled what Du Fei had said when Sun Shaoqian forced him into the air raid shelter. Could it be that he really increased the power of the ammunition? Order. Artillery, aim at the time beast, machine guns sweep the herd, all infantry engage the attacking mutated beasts. Don't waste bullets, we will win. Gonting commanded loudly, her tone filled with excitement. Upon hearing Gonting's order through the communicator, Lu Ruobing's face turned pale. What does this girl think she's doing? We agreed to cover the command vehicle's retreat. Why isn't she listening? However, the urgent situation left Lu Ruobing no time to think. The 2 LV-2 Timebeasts had already charged right up to them, leading the herd. Fire! The female soldiers unleashed their submachine guns, pistols, and grenades, firing at full strength. Artillery, aim at the Timebeasts, fire for me. Inside the transport armored vehicle, Xia Ying commanded. Rat-a-tat. Dozens of 20mm cannon shells shot out rapidly from the barrel, striking one of the LV-2 Timebeasts. The cannon on the old armored vehicle was not powerful enough to cause any harm to the LV-2 Timebeasts. It was akin to merely scratching an itch. In Xia Ying's view, it would be good enough if the dozens of shells could slightly delay the advance of the Timebeast. Little did she know. Bang, bang, bang. Dozens of shells exploded on that LV-2 Timebeast, causing a large number of surrounding mutated beasts to fall. Looking at that LV-2 Timebeast, its massive body was blown apart, flesh and blood flying. Heavenly Eye News: killing a LV-2 Timebeast earns 3,626 hours. The Time Federation takes 20, and the Auxiliary Women's Field Combat Team receives 2,901 hours. Auxiliary Women's Field Combat Team storage card balance, 2,901 hours. What did I just see? The Timebeast is dead. Oh my god. Sister Xia Ying, we just earned 2,901 hours. In the transport armored vehicle, several female soldiers screamed in shock. Xia Ying was dumbfounded. How is this even possible? Meanwhile, all the female soldiers witnessed this scene. The LV-2 Timebeast was actually killed by the artillery. It was taken down with just dozens of shells. Additionally, what was unbelievable was that those mutated beasts were almost falling one after another under their fire. When did these mutated beasts become so fragile? Incredible. Lu Ruobing's eyes widened. Could it be? She recalled the words Du Fei had said. Rat-a-tat. Lu Ruobing pulled the trigger, unleashing a burst at another LV-2 Timebeast. Caw-caw-caw roar. The LV-2 Timebeast let out a mournful scream. Its iron-hard body had dozens of blood holes appear, dark green blood gushing out. Boom. The enormous body of the LV-2 Timebeast swayed a few times before crashing to the ground. Oh my god, it was killed with a machine gun. Our storage card just earned over 2,000 hours. The screams from the female soldiers on the armored vehicle echoed again through the communicator. Did I really kill that? Did I just kill a LV-2 Timebeast with a machine gun? Lu Ruobing gasped, covering her mouth in shock, her face trembling with disbelief. She widened her beautiful eyes, staring at the bullets coated with a silvery substance, lost in thought. Holy crap, the power of these bullets is too immense. It's simply unheard of and unseen. Are these really some sort of secret silver bullets? Such bullets are probably not even produced by the Time Federation yet. As the two leading LV-2 Timebeasts fell, the mutated beast horde was thrown into chaos. In the communicator, Ganting's voice came through. The modified bullets are powerful and precious. As long as you aim, you can take them down one by one. Do not waste them. Sisters, keep your spirits up. A victory will ultimately belong to us. With those words, all the female soldiers of the Wild Combat Team were exceptionally invigorated. Roar. Gaga gaga. 6 more LV-2 Timebeasts rushed in, driving the horde forward. Mortars fire at the dense areas. Handguns aim and shoot. Lu Ruobing commanded. Inside the armored transport, Xia Ying also issued an order: Gatling guns target the Timebeasts. Do not waste any rounds. A few shallow and a few deep shots for me. After just a few cannon shells hit a Timebeast, Xia Ying still felt heartache recalling it now. Targets have entered range. Fire. The sound of gunfire erupted. The female soldiers were high-spirited, full of confidence, and re-entered combat mode. Good news, our women's Wild Combat Team has earned 3,016 hours on the storage card. Good news, our women's Wild Combat Team has earned another 2,852 hours. Soon 2 more LV-2 Timebeasts were eliminated. At that moment, without any warning, 2 colossal figures suddenly appeared in midair. They were 2 winged LV-2 Timebeasts diving rapidly towards the command vehicle and transport vehicle at an astonishing speed. Invisibility winged beasts. Oh no. Ganting, Xia Ying, be careful. Lu Ruobing and all the female soldiers gasped in shock. Ganting in the command vehicle and Xia Ying in the transport vehicle also spotted the 2 diving time-winged beasts. These Timebeasts could fly at high speeds and were adept at hiding, making them difficult to detect. Only when they launched an attack did they exit their cloaked state, allowing detection instruments to register their presence. The invisibility winged beasts could be said to be the most terrifying existence among all Timebeasts. At that moment, the 2 LV-2 invisibility winged beasts were descending rapidly, and the machine guns and cannons simply could not intercept them in time. In such a situation, the command vehicle and transport vehicle would surely be smashed to bits. Sisters, goodbye. Ruobing, you must survive. A desperate voice from Ganting and Xia Ying came through the communicator. These were their last words. Duong. Duong. The 2 LV-2 invisibility winged beasts crashed into the command vehicle and transport vehicle, producing 2 deafening booms. Ganting, Xia Ying, Lu Ruobing, and all the female soldiers cried out in unison. Some even closed their eyes in sorrow. However, surprisingly, the command vehicle and transport vehicle were sent flying far away, smashing against several large rocks before coming to a stop. The vehicles only showed a few dents and did not shatter as expected. Looking at the 2 LV-2 invisibility winged beasts, one had a broken wing and was flapping on the ground. The other, after the crash, had its two claws driven into its own body, barely clinging to life. Inside the command vehicle and transport vehicle, all the female soldiers experienced a ringing in their ears, clutching their heads and shaking. In the next moment, we are still alive. We are okay. Ganting and Xiaoying each opened the hatches of their armored vehicles, and due to the lingering ringing, their voices came out almost as a roar. Oh my God, they actually survived. This was unbelievable. At the moment of the attack, it seemed as if a layer of silver shimmer had faintly appeared around the armored vehicles. It must have been that material on the vehicles that withstood the impact of the two LV-2 invisibility winged beasts, allowing Ganting and Xiaoying to escape disaster. In an instant, Lu Ruobing and all the female soldiers suddenly remembered the scene of Du Fei brushing something on the armored vehicle before leaving. Great, continue the fight. Lu Ruobing snapped out of her shock, picking up the machine gun and firing at the two struggling invisibility winged beasts. Heavenly Eye message killed LV-2 invisibility winged beast, earned 3,954 hours. Time Federation takes 20 external women's wild combat team storage card, earns 3,163 hours. Heavenly Eye message killed LV-2 invisibility winged beast, earned 3,628 hours. Time Federation takes 20 external women's wild combat team storage card, earns 2,903 hours. With the two LV-2 invisibility winged beasts killed, the women's wild combat team once again gained rewards. The battle intensified. The two armored vehicles' cannons were damaged. Ganting, Xiaoying, and the communications soldiers all opened the doors and joined the infantry ranks. Machine guns fire with all your might. Mortars fire. Boom, boom. The time beasts and mutated beasts fell in heaps under the attack of the wild combat team, their cries echoing in despair. Before long, the remaining 4 LV-2 time beasts fell one after another, and the women's wild combat team storage card kept receiving credits. 10 minutes later, the mutated beast horde, now leaderless, scattered in chaos, fleeing into the forest. Ceasefire. We have won. Well done. Lu Ruobing, Xiaoying, and Ganting exchanged glances, their faces showing a mix of complex emotions and excitement. That was exhilarating. So thrilling. It's almost unbelievable. Yes, we actually hunted 10 LV-2 time beasts and defeated 2 mutated beast hordes. All the female soldiers hugged each other, tears of excitement streaming down their faces. It was truly uplifting. This achievement. They had never fought such an exhilarating battle in their lives. Check the casualties and report the losses. Lu Ruobing ordered. Yes. 3 minutes later. Report. The command vehicle and transport vehicle had 13 soldiers with mild ear ringing. Apart from that, there were no casualties in the entire team. A total of 1,263 rounds of various ammunition are remaining. The cannons and machine guns of the command vehicle and transport vehicle are severely deformed, and the vehicle bodies and communication equipment are partially damaged, but they do not affect mobility. Our women's wild combat team has eliminated 10 LV-2 time beasts and earned 27,875 hours. This battle is a complete victory. Report completed. All the female soldiers of the women's wild combat team cheered. A miracle. Lu Ruobing, Xiaoying, and Ganting simultaneously took a deep breath. For the first time, they felt that the air with radiation was so fresh. At this moment, they knew clearly that the reason they could achieve a complete victory without losing a single soldier in the battle at Heishui River was entirely thanks to Du Fei. It was that little brat in their eyes who saved all the sisters of the wild combat team. Ganting, Xiaoying, see if you can still contact Sun Xiaoqian, hurry. After Lu Ruobing finished speaking, she was the first to dive into the command vehicle. Okay. Ganting and Xiaoying quickly took their positions with the communications female soldiers. Calling Sun Xiaoqian. Calling Sun Xiaoqian. After a while, a crackling interference noise came from the communicator received. Sun Xiaoqian received. Sun Xiaoqian, what is the situation with Captain Du Fei? Now please respond. Report, Deputy Captain. I'm afraid the little brat is not behaving, so I've temporarily tied him up. Sun Xiaoqian's voice came through the communicator. What? I command you to quickly untie Captain Du Fei and do not mistreat him. Zzz. Lu Ruobing hurriedly shouted into the communicator. The signal is poor. I can't hear you. Please repeat. Please repeat. Zzz. The signal was cut off. This. Lu Ruobing, Xiaoying, and Ganting exchanged glances, stamping their feet in frustration. Gather. Return to the camp at full speed. By 2 p.m., we must arrive. In the Revival Military District, the 48th Division. It's about time. The remnants of the Women's Field Corps and that genius from the Command Academy should have all perished in the beasts' bellies. Division Commander Jiao Dequay sat confidently on a fur sofa, his legs crossed. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Even if the Federation's Heavenly Eye detects the malicious actions of the 48th Division, we would only have to pay a small fine at most. After all, a ragtag army like the Women's Field Corps contributes very little to the Federation throughout the year. The heavenly eye also judges by appearances. Sometimes it turns a blind eye. Commander, we miscalculated. The aide rushed in anxiously. What do you mean we miscalculated? Zhao Dequay was slightly taken aback. You should take a look at the latest news released by the Heavenly Eye. The aide opened a laser screen accessing the Heavenly Eye website. It displayed the situation of various military districts and the rankings and achievements of numerous military corps. A piece of news not very eye-catching was nonetheless gaining increasing attention. Revival Military District in the Battle of Heishui River. The Extraterritorial Women's Field Corps annihilated 10 Level 2 Timebeasts, including 2 Stealth Wing Beasts. The Extraterritorial Women's Field Corps rose from rank 318,895 to 97,566. The Extraterritorial Women's Field Corps has entered the top 100 in the rankings, and this corps has been marked with a contribution star by the Heavenly Eye. Zhao Dequay gasped, his face instantly darkening. What on earth is going on? I don't know, him just as puzzled. The aide shook his head and continued, logically with their numbers and equipment, they shouldn't even be able to stop mutated beasts, but I never expected they would actually kill 10 Level 2 Time Beasts, including 2 Level 2 Stealth Wing Beasts, and they even routed 2 groups of mutated beasts. They had less than 100 people, and the entire battle lasted less than an hour. Such achievements are something even our 7,000-strong mobile brigade could not achieve. Commander, I even suspect whether the Heavenly I made a mistake. How could that be? It's simply unbelievable. Zhao Dequay stared at the news on the website, feeling an immense shock within. He found it hard to believe, it seemed too far-fetched. However, the Heavenly I was not likely to make mistakes. After a while, Zhao Dequay asked, what were their casualties? Unclear. The Heavenly I did not display that information. Find out for me. Get a clear understanding of their battle situation at Heishui River and see what weapons and equipment they have. By the way, Commander, the assessment report for the Qingchuan Ruins hunting ground has come out. Experts suggest it's quite suitable for establishing a new hunting ground. Got it. Whoosh. 2 deformed armored vehicles billowed black smoke with all the female soldiers running. The Women's Field Corps hurried along, additionally hunting 5 or 6 Level 1 Time Beasts along the way, earning several thousand hours on their storage cards. They deeply felt the benefits brought by the silver bullets. Each one acted as a protective talisman. Of course, these were all bestowed upon them by Du Fei. 3 hours later, they finally returned to the camp, and everyone in the corps entered the air raid shelter. Lu Ruobing was the first to jump down from the armored vehicle, rushing straight to Du Fei's room. Xia Yingganting and all the female soldiers closely followed, hurrying over. Bang! Lu Ruobing directly slammed her body against the door, breaking it open. Sun Xiaoqian was startled. When she saw that it was Lu Ruobing, she was instantly dumbfounded. Then Xia Ying and Ganting came in, panting, with the female soldiers crowding around in layers. Heavens, they've all returned. That's wonderful. Sun Xiaoqian shouted in delight. Lu Ruobing pushed her aside and immediately saw Du Fei tied to the bed. Hurry and untie the commander. Lu Ruobing, Xia Ying, and Ganting said in unison. Sun Xiaoqian, seeing the 3 come forward to untie the ropes, she hurriedly joined in. Lu Ruobing glanced at the half-open wardrobe and kicked Sun Xiaoqian on the backside. Little brat, who told you to touch my things? After saying that, she quickly pulled out the black silk cloth stuffed in Du Fei's mouth. Commander, I'm sorry. Lu Ruobing hid the cloth behind her and blushed, saying, I'm sorry for the trouble. I washed it very clean. Xia Ying and Ganting couldn't help but burst into laughter, while the female soldiers outside covered their mouths, trying to laugh, but not daring to. Sun Xiaoqian was truly a talent. They've all returned. Du Fei sat up and moved his jaw. Then he got down to stretch his limbs, looking towards all the female soldiers gathered outside the door. At that moment, everyone was taken aback, thinking Du Fei would surely explode in fury. Lu Ruobing was already prepared to accept punishment. However, Du Fei's face showed no expression, and no one knew whether he was nurturing any anger within. Commander, Lu Ruobing was about to speak, but Du Fei waved his hand at her and directly said, First, tell me about the battle situation at Heishui River. He wanted to know what kind of destructive power those silver bullets had against the fierce beasts. Lu Ruobing looked at Du Fei's eager expression, feeling a deep sense of guilt. This man had tirelessly produced silver bullets for the Women's Field Corps overnight, yet until now he had not witnessed their power. Not only that, but he had also been mocked by herself and all the sisters, even being imprisoned and tied up. Thinking of this, Lu Ruobing felt increasingly sorry for this man. She calmed her emotions and began to report seriously to Du Fei. Report, Commander, regarding the Heishui River mission. We suspect it was a plot by the 48th Division against our Women's Field Corps. When we arrived at the combat destination, the 48th Division had already withdrawn and maliciously shut down communication channels. Du Fei nodded thoughtfully. He had actually anticipated this. However, he did not expect Wu Dagui to go to such lengths to eliminate him. Yet Du Fei was unaware that Wu Dagui was not only targeting him, there were other reasons involved. Next, the detector indicated a large number of fierce beasts appeared at the combat destination, and we were subsequently attacked by 2 groups of mutated fierce beasts from both sides. There were 8 level 2 time beasts in the beast horde, and at that time we had no chance to retreat. Sun Xiaoqian, upon hearing this, widened her eyes in shock and quickly asked, "How did you escape?" Lu Ruobing rolled her eyes at her, then said, "Thanks to the silver bullets modified by the commander, their power was beyond imagination. We easily killed 10 level 2 time beasts and routed 2 groups of mutated beasts with no casualties on our side." Hearing this, Sun Xiaoqian was dumbfounded, feeling as if she were in a dream. However, she felt something was off and thought for a moment before asking again, "How come it was 10 level 2 time beasts? Wasn't it 8? Ganting stepped forward and said, "There were also 2 level 2 stealth-wing beasts that ambushed the command vehicle and supply vehicle. At that time, we should have been doomed." "What? 2 level 2 stealth-wing beasts?" Sun Xiaoqian was shocked again, and even Du Fei's heart trembled slightly. Stealth-wing beasts were incredibly hard to guard against. Among time beasts, they were the most troublesome and terrifying. "You little brat, can you not be so dramatic?" Lu Ruobing shot her another glare and said, "Thanks to the mysterious substance the commander applied to the vehicle before departure, Ganting Xia-ing and the other sisters were able to escape unscathed." And then, oi, Du Fei continued to ask. He wanted to know how effective the silver defense applied to the vehicle was. "Then those 2 stealth-wing beasts crashed into the command vehicle and supply vehicle, and as a result our vehicles had no major issues, but the 2 winged beasts were severely injured. One had a broken wing, and the other had a claw stabbed into its own body, which I then dealt with in 2 bursts. Also on the way back we hunted 5 or 6 level 1 time beasts again. In this battle we gained a total of 33569 hours, but unfortunately we only have over 900 rounds of various ammunition left." Lu Ruobing concluded her report. "Very good, no casualties is what matters." Du Fei nodded in satisfaction, his gaze sweeping over Lu Ruobing and all the female soldiers. "Ammunition is meant to protect your lives. If you encounter a situation and deliberately try to conserve ammunition, then your actions can easily put your comrade." Finally, he solemnly said, "I don't want to see any of you, all 108 of you, get hurt." The scene fell silent. Lu Ruobing, Xia Ingan Ting, Sun Xiaoqian, and all the female soldiers low. At this moment, each of them felt emotions towards Du Fei that were no longer just guilt. After a brief silence, Sun Xiaoqian, with a guilty expression, lowered her head and said, "I shouldn't have treated you that way. Please punish me." Lu Ruobing took a deep breath and looked at Du Fei, saying, "Captain, I was wrong. Considering how we treated you before, I believe everyone is now regretting it and hopes you can forgive us. What Sun Xiaoqian did to you was my command. If punishment is due, it should be me who is punished." Seeing Lu Ruobing take the initiative to apologize to Du Fei, all the female soldiers outside said in unison, "Captain, we are sorry." Xiaoying tossed away the cigarette in her hand and also lowered her head, saying, "I misunderstood you, and I am willing to accept any punishment." She didn't even dare to look Du Fei in the eyes, and sounding like a shy girl, quietly said, "You can whip me mercilessly until you forgive me." It must be noted that Xia Ying was known for her stubbornness. She had never bowed her head to anyone in her life. She could be described as a wild and untamed woman. As a child, her stepfather once hung her up for 3 days and nights to make her admit her mistakes, yet she didn't even. The fact that she was now bowing her head to Du Fei showed just how much courage she had mustered, not for anything else, but for the battle at Heishui River. After this battle, she completely yielded to Du Fei in her heart. All her sisters returned safely without a single casualty. This man was capable of producing such powerful bullets, demonstrating his extraordinary abilities. He saved the lives of the entire team, yet she had called him a brat in front of so many people. Ooh, just think how heartbroken he must be. Thus, Yang now only wanted to gain Du Fei's forgiveness, willing to accept any punishment he deemed fit. At this moment, only Ganting remained silent, observing Du Fei's expression. Du Fei frowned, his expression dark. Ganting felt a sense of panic, sensing that Du Fei was about to explode. "Captain, please forgive them. The Heishui River mission was fraught with danger. Sister Rubing's order to confine you is actually to prevent you from taking risks. If the captain intends to punish anyone, then punish me as well." Ganting, "No, don't. We were in the wrong." Lu Ruobing, Xia Ying, and Sun Xiaoqian all looked at. All right. Du Fei understood that he could neither hit nor scold them at this moment, as he still desired something. "If there are casualties in this battle, I certainly won't let you off easily. However, since you all returned safely, the punishment is waived. I don't want to see such things happen again." "Then why was your face so scary just now?" Ganting asked softly. "I was just troubled, wondering if that piece of clothing was cleaned properly." Du Fei smacked his lips and looked at Lu Ruobing. Lu Ruobing's face instantly turned red. "Wow, the captain isn't angry. That's great. The captain is so handsome." All the female soldiers, overwhelmed with joy, embraced each other and cheered. Ding. Reputation 10 points. Ding. Reputation 10 points. The sound of the system notification rang like a tide. Du Fei felt a surge of joy. The technology library had been unlocked. Sigh, enduring humiliation for the sake of reputation. To earn some reputation points is not easy for me. Thankfully, there were no outsiders present, otherwise someone would definitely say I was being sycophantic. Order. All personnel gather in 20 minutes. I have something to announce and to confirm our preliminary development direction for the field team. Du Fei said solemnly as he scanned all the female soldiers. Yes, Captain. Lu Ruobing Xia and Gan Ting Sun Xiaoqian and others straightened their backs and saluted Du Fei respectfully. Then all the female soldiers quickly dispersed. Du Fei closed the door and opened the system interface. Host Du Fei. Position Commander. Legion Independent Women's Field Team. Reputation points 1,370. Intimacy points 0. Physique, not enhanced, suffered 30 radiation. Items Universal Toolbox 1. A rare substance, refining agent, 450 milliliters. Friendly reminder: the technology library has been unlocked and corresponding items can be exchanged. Du Fei quickly scanned the system interface and eagerly opened the technology library. A variety of items came into view, instantly stunning him. Rare substance refining agent, 500 milliliters, requires 200 reputation points. Light armor blueprint requires 200 reputation points. Land King track vehicle blueprint requires 500 reputation points. Energy crystal system produced cannot be replicated, can provide power for 1 year, requires 100 reputation points. Recovery pool blueprint requires 500 reputation points. Water purifier blueprint requires 200 reputation points. Predator stealth drone blueprint requires 1,500 reputation points. Vibranium synthesis technology requires 100 intimacy points. URU synthesis technology requires 500 intimacy points. Smart laser defense system blueprint requires 1,000 intimacy points. Click to expand more. All the items inside require reputation and intimacy points to exchange, and the variety is dazzling. Du Fei took a deep breath, struggling to contain his excitement. Although most items in the technology library were blueprints and technologies, each one was advanced black technology, especially vibranium and URU, which are far superior to mithril as black technology metals. Any one of these metals could create an invincible armor. However, a certain amount of intimacy points is required, so he couldn't exchange anything for now. It seems that reputation and intimacy points are very important. Looking at the dazzling array of items in the technology library, Du Fei fell into deep thought. From now on, his status in the women's field team was officially established, and he had become the true supreme commander. He would build a powerful army, ensuring that the female soldiers under his command would live healthily and happily. Moreover, there were his father and younger sister. Their situation was also precarious. After all, Wu Degui was considered a mid-level figure in the Light Union, and with a few maneuvers, he could easily drive his father and sister out of Revival City. He now realized that inside and outside Revival City were like two different worlds, with the Union's surveillance cutting off communication between them. People inside and outside the city couldn't contact each other at all, as if they were worlds apart. I must strengthen myself as soon as possible. Du Fei clenched his fists and began to think secretly. Currently, I have 1370 reputation points. What should I exchange for first? After some consideration, Du Fei made a decision. Ding. Congratulations, host, for using 500 reputation points to exchange for the Land King track vehicle blueprint. As the system prompt sound faded, various designs, parameters, and performance descriptions of the vehicle appeared in Du Fei's mind. Land King track vehicle equipped with a large caliber cannon with a killing radius of over 5,000 square meters, i.e. an explosive radius of 36 meters, fully automatic defense cannon, machine gun, lightweight, Gatling, etc. Long-range detection device, early warning device, night vision device, anti-eavesdropping communication, can drive automatically, powered by energy crystals with a maximum speed of 150 km/h. This is so awesome, it was worth the exchange. Du Fei was so excited after merely browsing the performance of the Land King track vehicle that his eyes sparkled. He immediately leaned over the table to sketch a rough diagram annotating its performance and listing the required materials. Then, considering the radiation issues faced by himself and the female soldiers, he decisively exchanged for 2 more items. Ding. Congratulations, host, for using 200 reputation points to exchange for the water purifier blueprint. Ding. Congratulations, host, for using 500 reputation points to exchange for the recovery pool blueprint. In Du Fei's mind, the designs, manufacturing parameters, functions, etc. of these 2 items also surfaced. Water purifier can automatically filter out radiation, viruses, bacteria, and impurities. The purified water source can be directly consumed. Recovery pool can heal wounds, detoxify, eliminate radiation from the body, and enhance physique. Awesome. It should be noted that the drinking water sold at the Union's stronghold costs 3,000 hours per ton and contains slight radiation and viruses. However, the drinking water produced by this water purifier contains no radiation or impurities comparable to Nongfu Spring from the previous life. As for the recovery pool, it is simply a medical system that can cure all ailments. No matter the severity of the illness, even poisoning or gunshot wounds, it can all be healed. As long as they wash regularly, it won't be long before all the radiation suffered by the female soldiers completely disappears, turning them into truly healthy individuals. This will be a tremendous boon for all the female soldiers. Du Fei quickly drew another rough sketch and listed the required accessory list. He envisioned the scene of the female soldiers recovering, their happiness levels rising, and the reputation points would naturally yield abundant rewards. Knock, knock, knock. On the empty ground of the air raid shelter, all the female soldiers had gathered together. Before Du Fei's arrival, they were all whispering excitedly about a certain matter. Have you seen the Tianyan website? Yes, our field regiment has become famous. The achievements in the Heishui River have pushed us from over 300,000 in ranking into the top 100,000. Indeed, our field regiment has made it into the top 100,000 and has been marked by Tianyan. What a relief. All thanks to our captain. Lu Ruobing, Xia Ingan Ting, and others listened to the discussions of the female soldiers, their eyes filled with vigor. The women's field regiment had long been abandoned by the Federation, yet a single battle had greatly improved their ranking and attracted the attention of Tianyan. Although they didn't care much about the ranking and the star mark, it was still an honor which allowed the female soldiers to release the pent-up feelings they had suppressed for years. Most importantly, Lu Ruobing and the other female soldiers saw hope for survival. At attention salute. Upon seeing Du Fei approaching slowly, Lu Ruobing immediately shouted to the female soldiers. Swish. All the female soldiers quickly stood at attention, saluting Du Fei in unison. Hello, Captain. Hello, everyone. Du Fei returned a military salute. The spirits of the female soldiers were vastly different from before, especially the way they looked at Du Fei, filled with respect, tension, and apprehension. Seeing this situation, Du Fei smiled and said, Everyone, there's no need to be nervous. I'm not used to this either. After saying that, he pressed his hands down to signal them to stand down. Due to time constraints, I'll keep it brief. Du Fei scanned the crowd before getting straight to the point. Today marks my official first day in command, and first, I want to ask everyone a question. Do you want to live a good life? Yes. All the female soldiers replied in unison. Great, I believe as long as we work together, we will definitely live a good life. Du Fei nodded and continued. Next, I need to understand what talents we have in our regiment. After saying that, he looked towards Lu Ruobing. Lu Ruobing understood and immediately began to introduce each person. Ganting is proficient in various communication electronic devices. Sun Xiaoqian is knowledgeable about various weapons and ammunition. Xiaoying excels in combat and various tactics. Su Ninger is a biologist. Zhao Feifeng specializes in agriculture, and Song Jia is skilled in civil engineering. After a few minutes, Du Fei nodded repeatedly, a satisfied smile appearing on his face. He never expected that the women's field regiment was so rich in talent. With these talents, the tasks ahead would be much easier. Who is currently in charge of the storage card? Du Fei asked. Report, Captain. I am temporarily in charge of the storage card, Ganting answered. How much balance is left now? 33569 hours. Order excluding myself. Each person will first be allocated 100 hours. Du Fei issued his first command. He personally had over 150 hours left, so he didn't consider allocating time for himself at the moment. Moreover, he also had a storage card from his father with 5000 hours. Now all the female soldiers had only about 40 hours left, so allocating them 100 hours would at least allow them to last for nearly a week. Captain, 100 hours per person amounts to 10800 hours. After deducting a 10 handling fee, it's 11880 hours. Ganting reported as if she had memorized it. One must admit the storage cards from the Federation are quite exploitative. However, everyone has no choice but to use these Federation storage cards for transactions. Captain, I don't need it. At this moment, Xia Ying said to Du Fei with a bitter smile. Her face was pale, and she clutched a cigarette roll, refraining from lighting it out of her. Captain, I don't need it. At this moment, Xia Ying said to Du Fei with a bitter smile. Her face was pale, and she clutched a cigarette roll, refraining from lighting it out of respect for Du Fei. It was evident that she was enduring immense pain, and her condition might not last 2 days. Therefore, she thought that 100 hours would be a waste for her. Du Fei stepped forward, pried her hand open, and took the lighter and cigarette roll. Slap. He personally lit the cigarette and brought it to Xia Ying's lips. Smoke it at the allocated time, must be accepted by everyone, and you are no exception. After saying that, he gently patted her shoulder. Don't worry, you'll get better. Xia Ying's eyes moistened as she shook her head gently. Captain, there's no need to waste time on me. I know my condition. Then how about we make a bet? Du Fei looked at her. A bet? Xia Ying was taken aback. If your health improves within 3 days, kiss me in front of the whole regiment. Du Fei said earnestly, thinking to himself that perhaps he could gain some intimacy points. Hemen. Xia Ying wiped her eyes and immediately broke into a smile. She took a deep drag from the cigarette, regaining her previous carefree demeanor. If you want to take advantage, just say it. I don't mind kissing you right now. Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting, Sun Xiaoqian, and all the female soldiers laughed along. However, it was a bittersweet laugh, and they cast grateful looks at Du Fei. They knew that Xia Ying was approaching the end of her life, and even the Federation's expensive anti-radiation injections could not save her. They believed that Du Fei's joking with Xia Ying was a form of comfort. And Xia Ying, didn't she think the same deep down? Du Fei smiled slightly, not paying further attention to Xia Ying, but instead looked at a female soldier named Song Jia. You are skilled in civil engineering. Yes, Captain. Song Jia stepped forward and saluted. Come take a look at this blueprint. Du Fei handed her a sketch of the rehabilitation pool he had personally drawn. Song Jia took a look and frowned. A pool. Constructed according to the blueprint, the location is set in the living area, and it should be completed within a day. Do you have confidence? Very simple, I guarantee to complete the task. Song Jia puffed her chest out. Although she didn't know what the pool was for, the task assigned by the captain excited her. Lu Ruobing and the others curiously gathered around, and upon seeing the blueprint, they all showed expressions of confusion. Captain, why build such a large pool? Lu Ruobing couldn't help but ask. It's a secret, you'll know when the time comes. Du Fei smiled mysteriously. Lu Ruobing and the others exchanged glances, then shook their heads helplessly. After all, they had said that from now on everything would follow this man, so if it's a secret, let it be. Their only hope now was whether Du Fei could produce more mithril bullets. Where did that pile of stones next to the ammunition depot come from? Du Fei suddenly asked. Lu Ruobing was taken aback and replied, there was a landslide 2 years ago, it came down from the mountain. Understood. Du Fei secretly rejoiced. If he guessed correctly, this mountain contained a large amount of mithril. Du Fei was merely speculating, and this had yet to be confirmed. If there truly exists a secret silver mine on this mountain, then crafting secret silver bullets would not be an issue. All that was needed were gunpowder and brass, but these items would have to be purchased from the federal base. Our command vehicle and transport vehicle are too outdated. The weapons and communication equipment currently equipped have been destroyed. Du Fei looked at Lu Ruobing and the others, then continued. I suggest we replace these two-wheeled armored vehicles with the latest tracked battle vehicles. Upon hearing this, Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting, Xia Ying, and Sun Xiaoqian were all left dumbfounded. Captain, you should know our situation. Gan Ting forced a bitter smile and said, the latest tracked battle vehicles are very expensive. The old-fashioned tracked battle vehicles sold by the Federation cost at least 100,000 hours for the cheapest one. If it's the latest Model 1 vehicle, would probably cost around 500,000 hours. Gan Ting is right. Lu Ruobing raised her hands in exasperation. Where are we supposed to get that much time? Xia Ying followed up saying, Captain, I think our two armored vehicles could still be repaired and used. They felt that Du Fei's ideas were too fanciful, and this suggestion was practically unrealistic. If the women's combat team had 500,000 hours, why would they risk their lives for a 20,000-hour mission from the 48th Division? The latest tracked battle vehicles are enticing, but how could they possibly afford them? Let me finish my words. We definitely cannot afford to buy them. What I mean is we should build our own, Du Fei said. What? Build our own? Captain, did we hear that correctly? Tracked battle vehicles can only be manufactured by the Federation's top military-industrial group. Even the major groups, known as time tycoons, lack this capability. The key question is where to get the design blueprints and manufacturing technology, as well as a complete set of precise parameters. Yes, we know nothing about this. How can we build them? Lu Ruobing, Xia Ying, Gan Ting, and Sun Xiaoqian shook their heads and laughed. Are you crazy? Just saying we can build it. Do you think it's like playing with clay? In their view, this was even less reliable than spending 500,000 hours to purchase them. I have all the design blueprints, technology parameters. Everything you need, you just need to lend a hand. Du Fei said earnestly. As his voice fell, the scene fell silent. Lu Ruobing and the others looked at Du Fei in shock as if they did not recognize him. How, what a joke. It should be known that tracked battle vehicles are considered high-end armed vehicles in the Federation. Their superior performance makes their complexity unimaginable. Especially the blueprints and manufacturing technology, which are the highest secrets of the top military-industrial. These are the result of the Time Federation spending vast resources and investing in hundreds of top experts in the military-industrial field. They took over 200 years to develop. Yet this man claims to possess all the technical parameters for manufacturing tracked battle vehicles. Even high-ranking figures in the Federation wouldn't dare to say such a thing. The design blueprints, technology, and parameters for tracked battle vehicles are not something a 17 or 18-year-old freshly graduated student could possibly comprehend. I look at you all so naive and inexperienced. Du Fei chuckled and continued. Aren't you curious where I got the secret silver from? Does the Federation possess secret silver extraction technology? Lu Ruobing and the others were momentarily taken aback. They truly did not understand much about secret silver. Gan Ting took out the only smart tablet of the combat team and quickly began searching the website. Lu Ruobing, Xia Ying, and Sun Xiaoqian immediately gathered around. Soon they learned that secret silver could not be extracted and only the Federation possessed a small amount of natural secret silver particles. Moreover, dissolving natural secret silver is currently a major challenge for the Federation. The Federation's secret silver weapons all use natural secret silver particles as artillery filler, and they cannot be plated onto the surface of bullets. Instantly, Lu Ruobing and the others' mouths dropped open and their eyes widened. The bullets modified by Du Fei were all silver-plated, and he had also coated the armored vehicle with secret silver. Clearly, this man had already mastered the technology for melting natural secret silver. They had previously known nothing about this mysterious substance and had thought it was not a challenging technical task. But now they were completely dumbfounded. Could he really extract secret silver? Oh my god. Not to mention the technology for extracting secret silver. If the technology for dissolving secret silver were sold to the Federation, they would never have to worry about food and drink for several lifetimes. What kind of genius is this man? How could he be so formidable? Lu Ruobing and the others were profoundly shocked, and they began to believe some of the things Du Fei had said. Since I can extract secret silver and can create secret silver bullets, I have the capability to manufacture tracked battle vehicles. Du Fei looked at Lu Ruobing and the others, then said, I want to build the Land King tracked battle vehicle. I'll first show you the blueprints. Upon hearing this, the attitudes of the beautiful women completely changed. Although they were still a bit skeptical, it was evident that their eyes lit up with excitement and anticipation. Lu Ruobing's expression grew serious as she scanned all the female soldiers and said sternly, Everyone listen up from now on. Any information regarding our women's combat team must not be disclosed to the outside world. Although these were all good sisters who had fought alongside her, each one worthy of trust, she still felt it necessary to remind them. Yes, we will never leak a word. All the female soldiers responded in unison. Du Fei nodded, expressing his satisfaction with all the female soldiers. Report. At that moment, a communication female soldier suddenly reported. What is it? Du Fei asked. Lu Ruobing and the others frowned and looked at the female soldier. The 48th Division has sent a message regarding our women's combat team's great victory in the battle at Heishui River, congratulating us. The 48th Division claims that due to a sudden change in the combat plan, the communication system happened to fail, which led to them being unable to contact us. The mission at Heishui River is essentially cancelled. The promised funding of 20,000 hours cannot be transferred to us for the time being. In light of our outstanding performance, the 48th Division has redevised the combat task scheduled for 15 days later to set up a hunting area at the Qingchuan ruins. They also said that the upcoming mission at the Qingchuan ruins is expected to yield rich rewards, with many external military groups cooperating with the 48th Division, and they invite our women's combat team to take on the task again. Due to the presence of a level 3 Timebeast at the Qingchuan ruins, they promised that if we accept this mission, they will allocate 100,000 hours to us. Additionally, they promised to allocate a total of 120,000 hours, including the previous 20,000 hours. The communication female soldier finished her report. Pa, what is this nonsense? The 48th Division is simply a bunch of despicable scoundrels. They clearly don't want to allocate funds to us. Shameless. They are truly brazen, even trying to dig a pit for us to jump into. In an instant, all the female soldiers erupted in outrage. Lu Ruobing, Gan Tingxia, and Sun Xiaoqian, and the others were shaking with anger, their beautiful eyes nearly spitting fire. Pa, a bunch of bastards. Xiaoying cursed fiercely. What the hell is this communication device malfunction? Do they think I know nothing about communication? Ganting was so furious that she couldn't help but curse, saying angrily, What do you mean you can't contact us? They clearly shut down the communication channel. This is simply outrageous. They clearly want to renege on their promise. Lu Ruobing gritted her teeth. The women's combat unit risked total annihilation for those 200 hours, and now they were just told they wouldn't get it. All right, everyone quiet down for a moment. Du Fei pressed his hand down towards the agitated female soldiers and said coldly, This is all because of me. They are after me. Everyone fell silent, stunned. Commander, it's not directed at you. Lu Ruobing shook her head at Du Fei, saying, They must be acting on Wu Dagui's orders, wanting to eliminate my women's combat unit. Wu Dagui. This time Du Fei was taken aback. Did they also have a grudge against Wu Dagui? Lu Ruobing clenched her petite fist and said the 48th Division is one of Wu Dagui's main divisions. Years ago, my father was in the same mid-level position in the Federation as Wu Dagui. When my father applied for benefits for the common people, he touched Wu Dagui's interests. As a result, he was framed by Wu Dagui through despicable means and ultimately died in the mines. My mother formed the women's combat unit to oppose Wu Dagui. It initially had over 200 members and held an official Federation status. Due to corruption at the higher levels, Wu Dagui excelled at flattery and ingratiation, and his power grew increasingly stronger. Under his oppression, the women's combat unit gradually became weak and was eventually stripped of its official status by the Federation. Without Federation funding, the women's combat unit quickly fell into dire straits, with female soldiers dying one after another, and my mother also passed away due to despair. Now only 108 remain in the women's combat unit, and to think that after all these years Wu Dagui still has no intention of letting us go. After listening to Lu Rubing's account, Du Fei understood. It turned out that Wu Dagui was not only targeting him, but also killing two birds with one stone. Commander, the 48th Division treating us this way, will we just let it go? Xiaoying asked angrily, her face taut. Let it go. I want Wu Dagui to understand that appointing me as the commander of the women's combat unit will be the biggest mistake of his life. Du Fei narrowed his eyes and said distinctly, we will take on the mission at the Qingchuan ruins. As soon as these words came out, Lu Ruobing and the other female soldiers were taken aback. Xiaoying regretted asking that question just now and hurriedly said, Commander, don't be impulsive. I think we should let it go. Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting, and Sun Shaoqian also showed signs of panic in their eyes. Commander, we can't accept the mission at the Qingchuan ruins. It's clearly another trap targeting us. Yes, if we take it, it will be 100 times more dangerous than the Heishui River. The Qingchuan ruins are mostly inhabited by LV3 Timebeasts, and there are even LV4 Timebeasts. The level of danger is beyond imagination. They were not afraid of death, but this time they were clear-headed and would not gamble with the lives of over 100 sisters. Surviving the battle at the Heishui River was already a stroke of luck. The mission at the Qingchuan ruins is a Don't talk about the 48th Division promising 100 hours. They might not even deliver. Even if they do, it would be a life-threatening gamble. I'm not being impulsive, you can rest assured. I want gamble with the entire unit's lives. Du Fei said confidently. Gan Ting still looked worried and said, Commander, you must think it over. Lu Ruobing raised her hand to her, saying, Gan Ting, listen to the commander. Du Fei's self-assured demeanor inexplicably instilled great trust in her. Besides, she had already promised to follow this man's lead. Gan Ting spread her hands helplessly. Last time at the Heishui River mission, she failed to dissuade them, and now she failed again. The mission at the Qingchuan ruins is in 15 days. We have enough time to prepare. Trust me, I will personally lead you to a victory. Du Fei glanced at Lu Ruobing and the others before commanding the communications girl. Reply to the 48th Division that we can accept the mission at the Qingchuan ruins and that we will definitely cooperate well with them. However, there is one condition: the 100 hours must be allocated half to the women's combat unit first, otherwise we cannot accept the mission. The communications girl immediately nodded, yes, Commander. Everyone fell silent. The air raid shelter was eerily quiet. A few minutes later, Commander, the storage card has credited 600 hours, which is the funding from the 48th Division for the Qingchuan ruins mission. Gan Ting's beautiful eyes widened, and she shouted out, very good, they are willing to invest heavily. It seems they really see us as soft persimmons to squeeze. Du Fei nodded. With such a large sum of money, one should be happy. However, none of the female soldiers felt happy about it. Even Lu Ruobing and others appeared somewhat heavy-hearted, as if the 48th Division had turned over a time bomb. All right, everyone cheer up, and let's disperse. Seeing their expressions, Du Fei smiled, and then said to Song Jia, make sure to expedite your task. Rest assured, Commander, I will complete the task. Song Jia replied firmly. If you come to my room, I'll show you the blueprints. After Du Fei finished speaking to Lu Ruobing and the others, he walked away. Lu Ruobing, Xia and Gan Ting, and Sun Shaoqian exchanged glances and then silently followed behind. Are we really going to see the blueprints for the tracked vehicles? Even if we can produce tracked vehicles, they won't withstand the attacks of LV4 Timebeasts. At this moment, their feelings were quite complicated, yet they were also very curious. What could it be that gives this man the confidence to take on the mission at the Qingchuan ruins? In the Revival Military District, the 48th Division, Division Commander Jiao Dek sits on a leather sofa, savoring an expensive cigar. Commander, didn't you say we wouldn't allocate funds to them? Why allocate 600 hours all at once? The adjutant bent down to hand him an ashtray, asking in confusion. If we keep using dry hooks for fishing, how will the fish bite? Jiao Dek knocked off the ash's face, showing displeasure as he said, the ferocious beasts that died in the Heishui River have been completely devoured by the beast horde, leaving us unable to ascertain the truth. The news of the women's field combat team achieving a great victory has alarmed the higher-ups, and he is furious with me. If this time it doesn't go well, I fear I will lose my position. You must understand, without risking the children, one cannot catch the wolf. The 600 hours are... A sinister smile appeared at the corner of Jiao Dek's mouth as he instructed, establish a hunting area in the Qingchuan ruins. This will be a large-scale operation, inevitably drawing the attention of the Heavenly Eye. Arrange it and recruit more irregular troops as support. It must be deployed flawlessly. I intend to have the remnants of the women's field combat team become cannon fodder under the scrutiny of the Heavenly Eye. Yes, Commander is brilliant. The adjutant bowed and flattered. This time the women's field combat team will definitely have no place to be buried. In the air raid shelter within Du Fei's room, several blueprints were spread out on the table, arranged from exterior sketches to internal structural diagrams. Land King Tracked Vehicle Performance Introduction. Large caliber cannon, lethal radius of 36 meters, extremely powerful. Defensive cannon, all-round automatic defense, emergency delay of 0.01 seconds. Machine gun, lightweight, Gatling manual, and automatic operation. Long-range detector, early warning device, night vision device, secure communication. Capable of autonomous driving, powered by spirit stones with a maximum speed of 150 kilometers per hour. Oh my god, did you design this? Lu Ruobing exclaimed in surprise, covering her mouth, gazing at Du Fei in awe. Du Fei smiled quietly, pointing at one of the designs. This vehicle is unlike any tracked vehicle currently available, meaning it has yet to be unveiled. He then began to explain the important details of the Land King tracked vehicle to the several beautiful women. After about 10 minutes, Lu Ruobing, Xia Ying, Ganting, and Sun Xiaoqian's eyes sparkled, their entire beings vibrating with excitement. The Land King tracked vehicle truly lives up to its name. The performance of this vehicle is nothing short of perfect, far surpassing the latest tracked vehicles of the Federal Military District. The latest tracked vehicles from the Federation are merely inferior compared to this one, especially the all-round defensive cannon, which is completely unafraid of attacks from stealth-winged beasts. I am absolutely in love with it. Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian are experts in this field, passionately gesturing as they spoke. Commander, are you sure you can produce it? Xia Ying's beautiful eyes glimmered with fervor as she gazed at Du Fei. Du Fei smiled faintly. Commander, you must know we only have a few tens of thousands of hours in our account. Lu Ruobing steadied her emotions and thought for a moment before saying, not to mention the need for workshops and machinery, just the parts and raw materials will require a considerable sum. This vehicle is too advanced. The more advanced the item, the more expensive the parts and materials. Although I desperately want to possess this formidable equipment, we have to consider the biggest issue: we are too poor. With the few tens of thousands of hours in hand, it is not enough to build a workshop, let alone acquire various precision instruments and machinery. Reminded of this, Ganting, Xia Ying, and Sun Xiaoqian's enthusiasm immediately waned, and they all began to worry. Clear out the ammunition depot, we can convert it into a workshop. I will find a way to get various tools. As for parts and raw materials, it's quite simple. Du Fei pondered for a moment, and then continued. We can make the parts ourselves. Here are blueprints for various components from engines to screws. Raw materials can be purchased from things others discard, like abandoned circuit boards, integrated modules, scrap steel, and iron. Oh, I think these items should be inexpensive. After Du Fei finished speaking, the beautiful women stared at him with their mouths agape, as if looking at a monster. Wow, can that really be done? Can it be done? Lu Ruobing asked. It can be done. Du Fei nodded confidently, then looked at Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian. I plan to transform our 2 armored vehicles into this model within 15 days. You may have to work hard on the communication devices and weapons. What? 2 vehicles in 15 days? The 4 beautiful women couldn't believe it. This was too insane. Commander, it's not hard at all. We will definitely cooperate with you fully. Everything is up to you. Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian swallowed hard, at the same time nodding emphatically. Forget about 2. If we can produce even 1, we would be overjoyed. Lu Ruobing was also affected by the excitement, her exquisitely beautiful face revealing a hint of exhilaration. However, Xia Ying, amidst her excitement, appeared slightly sorrowful as she murmured, what a pity. I might not make it to the testing day. She wished so much to personally drive such a vehicle in her lifetime. But she understood her physical condition, as she would last at most 3 days. All she could do was lament the unfulfilled wish. Don't worry, you will recover. Don't forget the bet we made. Du Fei smiled reassuringly at her. Seeing Xia Ying's expression, Lu Ruobing changed the subject and asked Du Fei, can we produce more secret silver bullets? We should be able to, but we need to check the mountain later. After pondering for a moment, Du Fei asked, how far is the nearest federal outpost from us? Less than 20 kilometers, Lu Ruobing replied. Is there any abandoned items for sale there? Yes, I know. There is a market for trading discarded materials there. That's good. Time is of the essence. I suggest we go check it out now. Du Fei glanced at the time and said, it's 3 in the afternoon. We should be able to return before dark. Commander, the command vehicle and transport vehicle probably won't be usable. Now we only have 2 mountain motorcycles left, Ganting said. Motorcycles are fine. The 3 of you come with me. Du Fei nodded, then looked at Xia Ying and said, you stay behind and arrange for someone to clean out the ammunition depot. All right. Xia Ying smiled wryly, knowing Du Fei was considering her physical condition, which is why he asked her to stay. Before we set off, take me to see the mountain first. Du Fei said. Lu Ruobing, Ganting, and Sun Xiaoqian nodded. Though they didn't know what Du Fei wanted to see in the mountain, they did not ask further. In any case, from this moment on, everything would revolve around this man. After deciding, the few of them left the room. Passing through the living area, the sound of clanging and banging echoed continuously. That was Song Jia already leading the female soldiers to work. A satisfied smile appeared on Du Fei's face as he aimed to have the water purifier and recovery pool ready by tomorrow. If that were the case, they would be able to experience the healing effects tomorrow night. Perhaps they might even gain another wave of reputation points. He could even picture in his mind the healthy appearance of the female soldiers after they finished washing and emerged from the water, exiting the air raid shelter. Soon Lu Ruobing Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian led Du Fei up the mountain. Weeds, shrubs, mushrooms, and various bizarre plants grew wildly with vines and roots exposed twisting and intertwining. Especially the trees which grew wildly, their canopies dense blocking out the sky. This was all a product of the radiation. Halfway up the mountain, Du Fei stopped at a ravine. Gazing at the cliff face adorned with silver stars, he felt an overwhelming joy within. Indeed, those secret silver ores must have flowed down from here. Lu Ruobing Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian also sensed the clue. Commander, could those silver stars on the rocks be secret silver? Lu Ruobing tentatively asked in a low voice. Exactly, this is a secret silver mine with a vast reserve. Du Fei took a deep breath and said, secret silver mine. Oh my god, is this for real? Awesome, does this mean we are going to get rich? Lu Ruobing Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian came back to their senses, each one filled with immense joy. After a brief pause, the group returned from the mountain. Du Fei felt a sense of relief. With the discovery of this secret silver mine, the women's combat team was destined to rise. At the same time, they were not afraid of being coveted, as the Time Union had discovered several such mineral deposits before. Major corporations were helpless against them, akin to a chicken rib, but for the women's combat team, it was an endless source of wealth. Buzz. Suddenly, a faint sound of airflow vibrating echoed in the air. Du Fei frowned and looked up, seeing two silver-gray planes, each over 10 meters long, circling overhead. Those are reconnaissance drones from the Federal Military District, Lu Ruobing said with a slight frown. I believe these two drones belong to the 48th Division. They must be trying to monitor or probe our situation. Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian both expressed their anger, adding their voices. As the last words fell, bang, bang, the two drones instantly crashed down, plummeting into the forest engulfed in black smoke. Caw, caw, caw. A chilling cry echoed, and a large LV-1 level stealth-wing beast spread its wings and instantly vanished into the clouds. Lu Ruobing Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian quickly raised their guns on high alert. Stealth-wing beasts have a tendency to only attack strong enemies that pose a threat to them. Each time they attack a target, they need to expend a large amount of energy to become invisible again. Perhaps due to the high energy cost of invisibility, they rarely attack weaker targets. Despite this, Lu Ruobing and the others still anxiously protected Du Fei. They only breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that the LV-1 level stealth-wing beast had departed. Du Fei looked at the crash site of the two drones and smiled, recognizing the value. Ganting informed the team to retrieve those two drones. Understood. A glimmer of excitement flashed in Ganting's eyes as she immediately took out the communicator to issue a command. Soon a team of infantry and logistics personnel swiftly mobilized to search the mountain. In front of the air defense cave, two old mountain motorcycles were pushed out. Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian rode on one. The remaining one was left for Du Fei and Lu Ruobing. Can you handle it? Lu Ruobing asked Du Fei. This motorcycle was an old model, bulky, and she feared Du Fei wouldn't be able to control it. Don't worry, I'm an experienced rider. Du Fei confidently hopped on and revved the engine. After revving the throttle a few times, the exhaust emitted puffs of blue smoke, and he felt the power was quite decent. As the rear seat sank slightly, a faint fragrant aroma drifted into Du Fei's nostrils. Lu Ruobing hopped on, and her body inadvertently brushed against Du Fei's back. In an instant, Du Fei felt a jolt of electricity surge through him. Realizing what had happened, Lu Ruobing quickly moved back, keeping some distance from Du Fei. In his daze, Du Fei nearly lost control of the motorcycle as it jolted. Lu Ruobing leaned over and quickly wrapped her arms around his waist, thinking Du Fei was deliberately causing trouble. Initially wanting to maintain some space, she was caught off guard when Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian started moving. Du Fei twisted the throttle and surged forward. In a panic, Lu Ruobing felt the motorcycle swerving wildly, and she couldn't help but complain internally. What kind of experienced rider is this? This is clearly a novice. The women's combat team camp was about 20 kilometers away from the nearest federal outpost, with rugged mountain roads in between. Worried about being thrown off, Lu Ruobing abandoned her modesty and held onto Du Fei's waist tightly. Through the thin military uniform, Du Fei could feel waves of heat radiating from Lu Ruobing and the pounding of her heart. This made his muscles tense and blood surge. However, thanks to Du Fei's exceptional composure, he was able to navigate the rough terrain. Half an hour later, a steel wall emerged in front of them, extending several kilometers. They had arrived at the federal outpost. This is Federal Outpost No. 83. Please pay your stay fee. Each person pays 100 hours for a 3-hour stay, 500 hours for 1 night, and 300 hours for a 30-day stay, which includes free food. 2 hummingbird drones announced the terms at the outpost's entrance while a row of weapons on the wall aimed at Du Fei and the others. We choose to stay for 3 hours, Gonting said to the drone. Please pay 400 hours and present your storage card. Gonting took out the storage card, and one of the drones scanned the card's surface. Beep. Payment successful. You may freely move within federal outpost now. 83 for 3 hours. Any disturbances will be considered malicious intrusion. As the drone's warning echoed, Gonting and Sun Xiaoqian rode ahead, while Du Fei carrying Lu Ruobing followed behind into the outpost. This outpost covered an area of about 5 to 6 square kilometers consisting of several blocks. Inside the outpost, Du Fei drove the motorcycle scanning the surroundings. On both sides of the street, many wooden shacks and tents had been set up with vendors selling vegetables, meat, drinking water, and other essential goods. There were also some solid buildings, mostly hotels and restaurants. The streets were relatively bustling, teeming with the atmosphere of human society. What's the price for white flour? 150 hours per pound. What about vegetables? 80 hours per pound. Can it be a bit cheaper? Some weary crowds moved about, haggling at the stalls. Most of these people were members of armed organizations living in the wild, temporarily entering the outpost to procure essentials. Du Fei felt deeply that prices here were significantly higher than in Revival City. Such outposts were simply money-making machines. This world. The higher-ups of the Time Union possess immense time. They can live forever. While the lower-class civilians struggle like ants, enduring exploitation generation after generation. After passing through several blocks, they arrived at the trading market for used goods. Gonting and Sun Xiaoqian parked the motorcycle aside and got off to wait. Lu Ruobing released her grip on Du Fei's waist, lifted her long, beautiful leg, and jumped down from the back seat. Team leader, why aren't you getting off? Gonting approached and asked. You two check for materials and find out which place is cheaper. Du Fei bent down, handed the materials list to Gonting, and continued. I'll rest a bit. I feel a bit nauseous from the ride. Gonting and Sun Xiaoqian exchanged puzzled glances. Nauseous from riding a motorcycle. That's a first. Why does the team leader's expression look a bit strange? Gonting and Sun Xiaoqian were only slightly confused. Thinking Du Fei was genuinely car sick, they didn't dwell on it and walked hand in hand ahead. Once Gonting and Sun Xiaoqian had walked far, Lu Ruobing couldn't help but chuckle softly. Du Fei felt extremely embarrassed. It was evident that Lu Ruobing had guessed he wasn't actually car sick. Then you. Take your time, Lu Ruobing said softly. Her face flushed as she turned away. Ignoring her, Du Fei took a deep breath, looked up at the sky, and tried to think of some tragic things. Ding. Intimacy 1. The system notification suddenly rang in his mind. Du Fei looked at Lu Ruobing's back. What's going on? After a moment, he finally regained his normal state. All right, I'm no longer dizzy, Du Fei said somewhat awkwardly before getting out of the car to park the motorcycle. Lu Ruobing could not help but laugh, though she chose not to expose him. Soon after, the two walked briskly into the scrap material trading market. From a distance, they spotted Gonting and Sun Xiaoqian gesturing at a man in uniform. Captain, if we want to buy scrap materials, we need to negotiate with that manager, otherwise transactions won't be allowed. Seeing Du Fei and Lu Ruobing approaching, Gonting expressed a troubled look and whispered, don't underestimate the small administrator at the base. He holds real power. Any military or armed organization entering from outside, as long as they are not a formal troop, basically has to rely on the administrator's goodwill to get things done. If you are a dragon, you must coil. If a tiger, you must crouch. After all, the king of hell is easy to see, but the little ghosts are hard to deal with. Du Fei slightly nodded, looking at the uniformed administrator across from him. Gonting turned around and introduced to the administrator. This is our female combat team, Captain Du. The administrator glanced at Du Fei, and seeing her in a female military uniform was not surprised. Given the shortage of resources, many ragtag military or armed organizations even have male commanders wearing ultra-short skirts. The administrator's expression appeared somewhat disappointed, clearly indicating that she was not a wealthy individual. However, he addressed Du Fei in a nonchalant manner, saying, I am Hussein, the administrator of this trading market. What do you all need? We need a batch of scrap materials, such as scrap copper and iron, to use as defensive facilities for our camp, Du Fei stated directly. He knew that scrap metals are generally melted down to create steel walls like those outside the base to fend off the Timebeasts. Hussein's interest was piqued. How much do you need? The more the better, Du Fei smiled and replied. Well, let me check on that for you. Hussein took out a smart tablet, turned around, and pretended to tap on it. After a while, he put away the tablet and said with slightly more enthusiasm, Captain Du, I have already checked it. Do you want me to take you to have a look? Gonting hurriedly said, Thank you, then let's go take a look. Hussein ignored Gonting and instead smiled. Du Fei understood what he meant, turned his back, and took out the storage card given by his father, transferring 4,000 hours to his wrist. After deducting a 10 handling fee, there were still 600 hours left on the storage card. He then directly handed the storage card to Hussein and said, "Thank you, brother. Who now? Let's go take a look." Hussein glanced at the storage card in his hand, saw the display showing 600 hours, and immediately beamed with joy. "It's all for the service of humanity, not a hassle at all. Captain, do please follow me." With that, he made a gesture inviting them to proceed, enthusiastically leading the way. Most of the armed organizations Hussein usually encountered were financially strained, and the maximum benefit they offered him never exceeded 300 hours. He had thought that Dufay would offer a little over 100 hours, so he was pleasantly surprised that this commander in a female military uniform was so generous. To grant 600 hours in one go made him unavoidably happy. Lu Ruobing and Sun Shaoqian followed behind, each pouting. Without even seeing the goods, yet they felt it was unfair to give this guy so much. Dufay, however, wore a smile, unconcerned. As long as they were greedy for wealth. Money makes the world go round. This little incentive wouldn't be given for free. As long as he builds a good relationship with this administrator named Hussein, he might save hundreds or even thousands of 600 hours in the future. Soon Hussein brought them to a scrap materials site. "Captain Du, what do you think of this pile?" Hussein pointed at a heap of discarded items resembling a small mountain and said to Dufay, "Rusty engines, scrapped robots, armor circuit boards, integrated modules, old computers, scrap copper and iron, and more. This large pile of various items weighed at least several hundred tons. Goodness." Dufay scanned the pile and couldn't help but feel delighted. All these items could be useful. Even if they were rusty and weathered, they could still be transformed into treasures. "Brother, who you must know that we're using this for walls. This pile of scrap copper and iron is somewhat lacking and has too many impurities." Dufay smacked his lips and deliberately frowned. The impurities he referred to were the circuit boards, integrated modules, and old computers. In fact, what he truly needed were those impurities. He didn't require too much scrap iron. Seeing Dufay say this, Lu Ruobing and Sun Shaoqian were momentarily taken aback, then quickly understood his intention. They immediately cooperated, each putting on a serious face to express their dissatisfaction. Captain Du, this pile of scrap materials has been here for over a year, and the dealer purchasing these materials is about to be unable to pay the management fee. To be honest, I have some connections with this dealer. He is also eager to sell." Seeing that Captain Du is not very satisfied, "I will be straightforward. If you can take some of this, we can negotiate." Hearing this, Dufay felt a surge of joy in his heart. The worse the situation, the calmer he needed to be. He put on a conflicted expression, frowning and remaining silent. Noticing this, Hussein added, "Captain Du, please consider. Brother, who I only came to see the goods because I trust you. To be honest, I am really not satisfied with this pile of things." I understand, and no matter how much scrap you can take, consider it a favor for an old friend." "Sigh, brother, who since you've said it like that, we must say we are fated to meet, both being loyal and righteous people." Seeing that the moment was right, Dufay stopped hesitating and gritted his teeth, saying, "It is commendable that you can think of your friends. Based on this alone, I will help you with this favor." With that, he reluctantly nodded. "Let's have the dealer come over to discuss the price. Having a friend like you is truly a blessing for that dealer from his past life. Who could disagree?" Hussein nodded in agreement, his face lighting up. "Thank you. On his behalf, I will contact him." He quickly took out a communicator to get in touch. "Nyo where are you?" Allah. Some unmentionable sounds came from the communicator. This old-style communicator was similar to a walkie-talkie with a very loud speaker. Hearing those sounds, Dufay frowned slightly. Lu Ruobing and Sun Shaoqian's cheeks instantly flushed. "You brat, hurry up and come to your junkyard. I've introduced you to a big business." "What? A big business? I'll be there right away." "How can you be going to socialize when you can't even afford to eat?" Hussein put away the communicator, cursing under his breath. However, he quickly revealed a smile. Outsiders might not know, but as long as he facilitated this transaction, he could earn at least a 30 commission from Nyo. It's easy to see why Hussein was so invested. A few minutes later, a shifty-looking man rushed over. "Nyo, this is Team Leader Du," Hussein introduced, pointing at Dufay. "Hello, Team Leader Du," Nyo said, bending slightly. Dufay nodded slightly and said directly, "Name your price for this pile of scrap." "How much can you offer?" Nyo asked. "Let's do this, considering who guess influence. If the price is reasonable, I'll take it all." "What? All of it?" Nyo was stunned, doubting his own ears. Hussein was also taken aback, then immediately overjoyed, glaring at Nyo and saying, "Did you hear that?" Team Leader Du said he would take it all. "This is all because of my influence. You can't ask for an outrageous price." Nyo snapped back to reality and hurriedly said, "No. I won't ask for an outrageous price. The price will definitely be reasonable." He was so excited that he couldn't even articulate his words. Team Leader Du, this pile of materials weighs over 300 tons, and logically it should take at least 50,000 hours to settle. After saying this to Dufay, Nyo glanced at Hussein and continued, "Since Hugo is involved, I will give you a reasonable price." "How much?" Dufay asked indifferently. 30,000 hours, how does that sound?" Nyo tentatively asked. Lu Ruobing Ting and Sun Xiaoqian exchanged glances, a trace of delight fleeting in their beautiful eyes as they looked at Du Fei. 30,000 hours is already quite cheap. Du Fei remained expressionless, looking at Husan. Hu Ge, your friend, is quite the businessman. Everyone knows that the prices of supplies in the stronghold are more than 3 times those outside. This pile of scrap probably wouldn't fetch more than 10,000 hours, right? If the deal doesn't go through, we can still be friends. Hu Ge, let's go look at other places. As soon as these words were spoken, Husan became anxious and said to Nyoda Bao, lower the price a bit. If this deal falls through, his commission would be lost. As for Nyoda Bao's profit or loss, that was not his concern. 30,000 hours is already a very reasonable price. Nyoda Bao, fearing the deal might collapse, thought for a moment and asked Du Fei, team leader, what price can you offer? 15,000 hours, Du Fei replied directly. This? Nyoda Bao was taken aback, shaking his head vigorously. No, that's not acceptable, it's simply too low. The cost of receiving these items plus management fees already exceeded 15,000 hours. Husan felt a bit awkward. He also thought Du Fei's offer was too low. Who cuts prices in half directly? How about this? Our camp is less than 20 kilometers from here. I will still consider Hu Ge's influence and can add another 5,000 hours to the offer. A total of 20,000 hours if you deliver it all. That's my maximum limit. Think it over. After finishing, Du Fei waved goodbye to Lu Ruobing and the others preparing to leave. Seeing this, Husan became increasingly anxious and said to Nyoda Bao, team leader, Du has already offered a considerable amount. If you let this pile of items sit for a while longer, it might not even cover the management fees. Selling this pile of scrap for 20,000 hours would mean he could take 6,000 hours for himself, which for him was already a considerable income. Nyoda Bao looked dejected, saying, but these hundreds of tons would require at least 4 trips to transport completely, and the journey isn't safe. Less than 20 kilometers, right? All the time beasts within dozens of miles have been eradicated. Oh, where's the danger? Husan glared at Nyoda Bao, not wanting him to hesitate any further. Let's leave it at this. You won't be losing much. Not losing much. Nyoda Bao looked helpless. If he sold it for 20,000 hours, it would be a significant loss. However, finding a buyer willing to take everything at once was not easy. If he didn't sell, this pile of scrap might truly become a burden. Moreover, given the current financial constraints, he could only grit his teeth and let it go. All right then, team leader, could you pay half of the deposit first? Nyoda Bao gritted his teeth. Payment upon delivery. You will pay the full amount once everything is delivered, Du Fei said. After all, trust between the two sides had not yet been established. Once a deposit was made, if the other party reneged, they could hide in the stronghold and no one could touch them. It was common for stronghold merchants to take deposits. Du Fei wouldn't engage in such uncertain matters. You still don't trust team leader Du? It's settled, then I hurry up and arrange for the vehicles. Husan waved his hand at Nyoda Bao, feeling delighted that the deal was made. Nyoda Bao wore a face like he had just lost a relative, asking Du Fei for the coordinates of the women's combat team's camp before leaving to arrange for vehicles. While the team leader is amazing, Lu Ruobing Ting and Sun Xiaoqian secretly cast admiring glances at Du Fei. If it were them, they wouldn't have been able to manage such a low price. Yet Du Fei managed to secure it effortlessly. Of course, this also involved Husan's contribution. If he hadn't hinted that Nyoda Bao was eager to sell and encouraged him from the sidelines, things wouldn't have gone so smoothly. At this moment, they finally understood that the 600-hour bonus was not given for free. Team leader Du, is there anything else we can assist you with? Husan asked Du Fei. We also need to buy a batch of daily necessities such as flour, green vegetables, and meat. Additionally, there are some other items. Could you help introduce a few reasonably priced merchants? After finishing, Du Fei took out a list and handed it to Husan. Husan took a glance and was secretly astonished. Apart from a few accessories and water filters, the list consisted mostly of fine rice flour, vegetables, eggs, and other food items. There was a large quantity. Buying all this food would probably require several tens of thousands of hours. Wow, you need this much? Husan said, but inside, he was beaming with joy. You see, the living supplies for regular military groups are usually supplied directly by the Federation, and they rarely purchase from the stronghold. Most of the food in the stronghold is sold to armed organizations in the wild or to miners and scavengers. These groups seldom procure high-end food. They generally mix in some low-quality food. Although living supplies like food in the stronghold are strictly controlled by the Federation, the administrators can still manage to skim off some profit. However, Du Fei's list was different. Even if they took a 2-cut, it would amount to nearly 1,000 hours. Husan initially thought the women's combat team was a poor group, but it turned out they were quite wealthy. Immediately, his attitude toward Du Fei changed significantly. He treated him like an old brother. Team leader Du is truly generous. I will handle all of this, and I assure you the prices will satisfy you. Husan said, patting his chest. Then I'll trouble you, Hu Ge. Du Fei nodded with a smile. It seemed that in this stronghold, as long as there are benefits, the administrators would do everything to serve you. Lu Ruobing Ting and Sun Xiaoqian took the list and were all stunned. There were over 8,000 hours in the storage card, and after deducting 2,000 for the scrap, more than 6,000 hours remained. Du Fei's list had at least 5,000 hours allocated for food purchases. Ruobing Jia, what do you think of this? Yeah, this is too much. Gan Ting and Sun Xiaoqian felt a bit pained and instinctively glanced at Lu Ruobing. Listen to the team leader. Lu Ruobing glared at the two of them. She was reminding Gan Ting and Sun Xiaoqian that from now on they should follow Du Fei's lead in everything. The sisters had already expressed their opinions, so why hadn't they learned their lesson? However, Lu Ruobing thought for a moment and leaned closer to Du Fei, quietly advising, "Let's buy a little less, we still have plenty of cassava and wild vegetables. In the future, we shouldn't eat those things anymore. Everyone in the team is currently malnourished and needs better food." Du Fei replied, then added, "As the team leader, I must prioritize improving the overall food quality for the team. But the quality is too high and spending so much on these expensive foods won't last us long." Lu Ruobing reminded. It was not easy to save up a few tens of thousands of hours, and if they spent it all on food, they would be out of funds again. Du Fei looked at the pile of scrap with determination and said, "Don't worry, I am confident that I can ensure the whole team eats fine rice and flour every day." After hearing this, Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting, and Sun Xiaoqian felt very touched. They no longer said anything, just exchanged bitter smiles. The team leader's words were beautiful. They also wanted to eat, well, even if it were just once every 3 days. However, regarding the current economic situation of the women's combat team, it was still a bit unrealistic. Nyo was quite efficient in getting things done as soon he arranged for a heavy-duty truck with a high load capacity. One truck could carry over 100 tons, and he planned to make 3 trips. While Nyo was organizing the loading, Du Fei and others led by Hussein began to purchase supplies and water purifiers needed for the rehabilitation pool. "Boss, are you really decided on selling the vehicles and equipment? Are we really going to break up?" 2 disheveled men squatted by the wooden shed at the street corner. 2 mud-stained trucks were parked by the roadside, loaded to the brim with equipment and supplies. Specifically, there was a heavy truck and a mining vehicle. "Sai, we have nothing to eat or drink, and we don't even have a place to stay. What else can we do? I can't just sit by and watch my brothers starve to death." One man in his 40s sighed, and then continued, "These 2 vehicles and supplies should buy us some time. No matter how much we get, we'll divide it equally later and go our separate ways." After speaking, the man stood up, patted the mining vehicle's hood, and revealed a reluctant expression. "Old buddy, the brothers have reached their limit, I'm sorry." His words were filled with sorrow, as if he were confiding in a family member. Du Fei was purchasing items in the wooden shed when the conversation between the 2 men caught his attention. He approached and asked the man, "Brother, have you encountered some problem?" The man was taken aback. Seeing Du Fei in military uniform and taking the initiative to engage, he became alert. Sometimes extreme armed organizations would target groups making transactions at strongholds for robbery. Of course, it was safer within the stronghold, but it was uncertain outside. Many had been robbed. "No need to panic. I'm Du Fei, the commander of the Women's Field Corps of the Revival Army District." Du Fei smiled and introduced himself, then gently asked, "May I know your name, brother?" Hearing Du Fei claim to be from the Revival Army District, the man relaxed a little and nervously replied, "Commander, I don't deserve such a title. My name is Chen Yuanshan." "Chen Yuanshan?" Du Fei frowned, scrutinizing him for a few seconds, and asked, "Do you know Chen Xinghe?" Chen Xinghe was an assistant at his father's clinic known as Uncle Chun. In his memory, Uncle Chun had a brother named Chen Yuanshan who had been mining outside the city. He wondered if this man was the same. "Chen Xinghe is my brother." Chen Yuanshan was stunned and asked, "Commander, how do you know him?" What a coincidence, he really was Uncle Chen's brother. He hadn't expected to meet him here. "I naturally know him, and I should actually call you uncle." Du Fei laughed, and then explained the relationship between Chen Xinghe and his family. Upon hearing this, Chen Yuanshan's eyes filled with tears. Chen Xinghe was his only family in this world. The 2 brothers had a very close relationship when they were young. Compared to his brother, Chen Xinghe was luckier. He had once saved the life of a high-ranking federal official's daughter on the battlefield while following Du Fei's father, Du Lei. This federal official's daughter was none other than Wu Dagui's later wife, Wang Shuzhen. Thanks to this great merit, Du Lei and Chen Xinghe received special approval to return to Revival City and open a clinic. Chen Xinghe had always followed Du Lei as an assistant. As for Chen Yuanshan, he was not as fortunate. Since leaving Revival City at 18, he had not heard any news about his brother. Hearing Du Fei mention this made him extremely excited. "What? How is my brother doing now?" Chen Yuanshan asked, his voice trembling. "Everything is fine." Du Fei comforted him, then glanced at the mining vehicle beside them. "Uncle Chun, I just heard you were planning to sell the vehicles and equipment. What's going on?" Chen Yuanshan took a moment to collect himself. Upon hearing Du Fei call him Uncle Chun, he was somewhat flattered. With this relationship, Du Fei seemed like family to him. "Sai, the situation is like this." Chen Yuanshan sighed and began to explain. In fact, Chen Yuanshan had been leading a group of miners in iron ore extraction. Their mining area was over 100 kilometers to the east, located at the border between Revival City and Light City. Chen Yuanshan and his group were employed by a private miner in Light City. They had long suffered exploitation, and even basic food and shelter had become a problem. Just 2 days ago, their mining area was attacked by high-level Timebeasts, resulting in countless casualties among the security personnel and miners. Even the private miner who employed them was devoured by the beasts. Chen Yuanshan was fortunate enough to escape, with the remaining miners driving away in 2 vehicles. With the miner dead, the salaries owed to them naturally vanished as well. Their time was also running short. In desperation, they came to the stronghold intending to sell the vehicles and equipment for some time. After understanding the situation, Du Fei couldn't help but sigh. It was truly a case of a sleeper meeting a pillow. The secret silver mine on the mountain needed to be mined, and they just happened to be in need of workers. What a coincidence. Uncle Chen, how many people do you have now? Du Fei asked. Including me, there are 30 people in total, Chen Yuanshan replied. It's quite a coincidence. To be honest, our camp has a mine we are preparing to extract. Du Fei looked at Chen Yuanshan and said, currently we are looking to recruit a group of miners. Would Uncle Chen? Upon hearing this, Chen Yuanshan couldn't help but feel overjoyed. He knew that he and a group of miners had no place to stay and were just about to disperse. This news was undoubtedly like a lifeline for him. The man beside him also wore a joyful expression, looking at Chen Yuanshan with eager anticipation. There's nothing to consider, as long as we have food and a place to shelter us, it's enough, Chen Yuanshan said. Alright, the conditions might be a bit harsh at first. Once we reach the camp, you'll need to set up temporary accommodations in the mining area and stay in the mountains from then on. Du Fei explained in advance, adding, also, our regiment is currently short on funds, so the salary we can offer you won't be high. Each person will receive a daily wage of 30 hours, including 3 meals a day, and we will ensure your personal safety. All mining operations will be handed over to Uncle Chen. I will provide an additional 100 hours of subsidy daily, which you can manage. Does that sound acceptable? After saying this, Du Fei looked at Chen Yuanshan, waiting for his response. Sure. Chen Yuanshan nodded in agreement without hesitation. With 30 hours per person each day, after accounting for personal consumption of 24 hours, he could still earn 6 hours. Additionally, there was a 100-hour subsidy, and with meals provided, at least they wouldn't have to worry about food and drink. Most importantly, Du Fei assured them of their safety. For those in such desperate circumstances, they were no longer concerned about the height of their income. Du Fei's offer was tantamount to being their savior. So it's settled then. Seeing Chen Yuanshan agree, immediately Du Fei smiled and asked, what about the other miners? They are all outside the base, Chen Yuanshan replied. Good, once the supplies here are acquired, we'll head back to the camp. Du Fei nodded at him, then looked at the 2 trucks. What's loaded on those? The mining truck is filled with machinery and equipment, and the other truck contains unopened explosives. Explosives? Du Fei's spirits lifted as he walked over to lift the canvas for a quick look, and he was instantly overjoyed. Indeed, it was filled with unopened boxes of explosives, a whole truckload. Uncle Chen, we can definitely use these explosives. I will purchase them at market price, but the payment will need to wait until— No need for payment. We are already immensely grateful just to have your shelter. Since they are usable, you can take them all as our modest repayment. Chen Yuanshan hurriedly waved his hand and said generously, then I thank you greatly. Du Fei felt quite pleased, as there was no need to worry about ammunition. Just as they were speaking, Lu Ruobing and the others walked over. Du Fei quickly briefed them on the situation with Chen Yuanshan and the group of miners. After listening, Lu Ruobing and her companions wore radiant smiles. Du Fei understood what made them happy. After all, receiving a truckload of explosives for free was equivalent to saving a significant amount of funds. One could only say that their luck today was simply extraordinary. Captain Xia Ying has sent word that they have cleared out the ammunition depot and the manufacturing workshop is ready. But where do we find the various tools and precision instruments? Gonting, holding a communicator, quietly asked Du Fei. Lu Ruobing and Sun Shaoqian also looked at him with worried expressions, as acquiring manufacturing tools was a major issue. You don't need to worry about these, I'll figure it out, Du Fei replied with a smile. What tools aren't available in the universal toolbox? After a little over an hour, all the supplies had been nearly procured. Husan specifically found 2 trucks, loading them up with various food and items until they were completely full, and they were even delivered for free. From the smile on Husan's face, reminiscent of a blooming flower, Du Fei could tell that this guy must have profited quite a bit from the deal. Before leaving, Du Fei intentionally had Lu Ruobing and the others wait aside while he called Husan over privately. Brother, I want to inquire about one more thing. Brother, just say what you need, Husan replied, beaming, even changing how he addressed Du Fei. Is it possible for the base to communicate with the city of rejuvenation? Du Fei asked. After all, that cheap father and sister were his relatives in this world, and the bond among the 3 of them was quite deep. Due to the merging of memories, Du Fei was still very concerned about their current situation and had no idea whether they were in any danger. Meanwhile, not far away, Lu Ruobing and the others thought he was asking Husan to help procure manufacturing tools. Communication is not possible. Husan shook his head, frowning, and said, "Are you trying to contact someone in the city?" Du Fei nodded. "I want to inquire about my family's news." "That would be difficult." Husan's expression turned somewhat awkward, and after a moment of contemplation he said, "How about this? Leave me the names and addresses of the people you want to inquire about. I'll think of a way, but it will take some time. I'll let you know as soon as I have news." Du Fei could sense that Husan was not deliberately making excuses, but genuinely found it challenging. Since he said he would think of a way, he must have his own channels. Thus, Du Fei wrote down the clinic's address along with his father and sister's names, and also left the communication channel of the women's field combat team. "Then I'll trouble you, brother Hu. I'll reward you later." Du Fei expressed his gratitude. Husan put away the note and waved his hand at Du Fei, implying that they were brothers and didn't need to be so formal. Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting, and Sun Shaoqian watched this unfold, each with a look of confusion. Could it be that a deal had been struck? The captain's communication skills were impressively strong. Everything was arranged. Gan Ting and Sun Shaoqian rode on motorcycles, leading the way, followed by the supply trucks, scrap trucks, and Qin Yuanshan's mining truck. Du Fei and Lu Ruobing also rode motorcycles at the back, escorting a convoy made up of 5 trucks as they grandly left the base. Along the way, Lu Ruobing continued to wrap her arms around Du Fei's waist, her soft body pressed closely against him, making his heart race. However, he was surprised to find that he could not fathom what Lu Ruobing was thinking, which caused the system's notification sound to ring in his mind from time to time. The intimacy value surprisingly rose to 5 points. The convoy jolted along the way, encountering no dangers. In less than an hour, the camp was finally in sight. Xia Ying and the female soldiers had been waiting outside for a long time. When they saw Du Fei and the others escorting 5 trucks back, they all showed expressions of surprise. Gan Ting and Sun Shaoqian jumped off their motorcycles and began directing the operations on site. The female soldiers and Qin Yuanshan's group of miners started to get busy. Du Fei drove his motorcycle directly into the air raid shelter, parked it, and Lu Ruobing slowly got off from the back seat. "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Du Fei frowned, noticing that her face was slightly flushed and her expression seemed a bit unnatural. Seeing Du Fei staring at her and asking what was wrong, Lu Ruobing's face turned even redder as she stammered, "No, it's nothing. I'm just going to change clothes in your room." After saying that, she turned and ran away. Change clothes. Du Fei was momentarily taken aback before quickly recalling that there were indeed her clothes in his room's wardrobe. However, those were all little black silk items. In an instant, Du Fei seemed to understand something. Could it be that she also gets car sick? As dusk fell, the female soldiers began to take turns guarding the camp of the female combat group and the mining area on the mountain. This camp, being relatively close to the federal stronghold, had already cleared out most level 2 and above Timebeasts. In the past, it was a different story, but now with the secret silver bullets, the situation has completely changed. Even the female soldiers on night duty can easily deal with mutated ferocious beasts or level 1 Timebeasts, practically serving them on a platter. Several bonfires blazed in the mining area on the mountain, bustling with activity. As the slope of the mountain was not too steep, Qin Yuanshan and a group of miners had cleared a small path and already arranged the machinery and equipment. At this moment, they were clearing the surrounding weeds and shrubs, planning to set up temporary shelters overnight. Du Fei arrived at the mining area, inspected the surroundings, and felt very satisfied with the group of miners. Uncle Chun let everyone take a break for a moment. Du Fei brought Gan Ting and 2 female soldiers over and said to Qin Yuanshan, "I will pay each of you 5 days' wages in advance, and afterward the salary will be settled every 5 days. What do you think?" "Good. Thank you so much." Qin Yuanshan nodded repeatedly, hurriedly calling the miners. "Everyone stop what you're doing, come over and line up. Captain Du is personally here to advance our wages." Upon hearing this, the miners all stopped their work and lined up behind Qin Yuanshan. Gan Ting took out the storage card and first transferred 650 hours to Qin Yuanshan's wrist, which included 5 days bonuses. Then she transferred 150 hours to each miner in turn. The miners looked at the extra 150 hours on their wrists, their faces filled with disbelief. As miners who had worked for so many years, it was the first time they encountered a boss who paid their wages in advance. They looked at Du Fei, their eyes filled with gratitude. "Dinner is ready." At that moment, a team of female soldiers brought 2 large wooden barrels with the miners' meals. As the lids of the barrels were lifted, the aroma of the food spread out. Qin Yuanshan looked closely and was instantly stunned. One barrel was filled to the brim with rice, while the other contained stir-fried meat exuding a mouth-watering fragrance. This food is too good." Qin Yuanshan swallowed hard, overwhelmed with excitement. Du Fei smiled and said, "Regarding the food, you all will eat the same as us. The upcoming mining tasks will depend entirely on you." Qin Yuanshan, with a twitching mouth in gratitude, couldn't speak before one of the older miners shouted, "Captain Du, rest assured we will do our utmost to work hard." As soon as he finished speaking, all the miners shouted in unison, "We promise to do our utmost to work hard." The atmosphere was passionate, and their voices echoed through the night. "All right, let's eat first," Du Fei said, nodding in satisfaction at the miners. "Dig in." Chen Yuanshan waved his hand behind him. The miners swallowed hard and stepped forward one by one to serve themselves. "It's so delicious. Yeah, I never expected to eat such a sumptuous meal in my lifetime. What a great boss. I would be willing to work in this mining area for a lifetime." The miners gobbled down the rice and stir-fried meat, feeling extremely grateful. Some even shed tears while eating, feeling as if they had fallen into a nest of blessings. Ding. Reputation 10. Ding. Reputation 10. Ding. Reputation 10. The system notifications echoed continuously in Du Fei's mind, bringing him quiet joy. "Captain, we should go back to eat as well. Also, the deputy captain is looking for you about something," Ganting said. "All right," Du Fei nodded. Upon returning to the room, he saw Lu Ruobing sitting at the table with wet hair. The room exuded the scent of soap along with a pungent smell of disinfectant. I just used your bathing room. I hope you don't mind," Lu Ruobing said softly, a bit embarrassed. Du Fei was slightly taken aback, unsure of the meaning behind her words. "Captain, your room is the only one in the entire group that can be used for bathing," Ganting explained from the side. After hearing this, Du Fei realized that the female soldiers usually took turns bathing in this room. Since his arrival, Lu Ruobing had vacated this room for him, effectively meaning he had taken over the bathing facilities of all the female soldiers. "Is there no public bathing facility? Also, why does the water have this smell?" Du Fei frowned, as he had not used the water in the restroom until now. Lu Ruobing smiled wryly and shook her head, explaining that they had been nearly broke and had no funds to build a public bathing facility. "This is mountain water stored in tanks. We added disinfectant to it so that the radiation would be somewhat reduced," Lu Ruobing said. "Got it." Du Fei looked at Ganting and ordered, "Notify Song Jia that after the pool is built, we will also build a public bathing facility. From now on, do not use this kind of water anymore. Let all the soldiers endure for a bit. In a couple of days, I will make sure everyone can bathe with purified water." Lu Ruobing and Ganting were stunned. Was he crazy? "Captain, I oppose this suggestion." Lu Ruobing stared at Du Fei and said, "You need to know that purified water at the stronghold costs 3.0 hours per ton. Oh, we usually can't afford to waste it." Ganting added, "I also oppose it. If it were to be used for bathing, that would be so extravagant. They could tolerate spending most of their funds on purchasing food in the afternoon. However, with the time left in the storage card running low, they absolutely refused to buy purified water for bathing. Why are you all so anxious? Who said we need to buy water from the stronghold?" Du Fei smirked at the two and continued, "What I meant is we will make our own water." "Make our own water? No need to buy." Lu Ruobing and Ganting were stunned again, suddenly remembering that there seemed to be purification equipment among the supplies they had procured. So this man had already planned to make water himself. However, they also believed that Du Fei had this capability. They exchanged glances and suddenly became interested. Then, "Can it remove radiation?" "Captain, you said purified water earlier. Can it meet the standards of the purified water at the stronghold?" Lu Ruobing and Ganting asked curiously. If Du Fei could indeed produce purified water, even if it didn't meet the standards of the stronghold, it would still be a tremendous benefit. "How is the water at the stronghold really called purified water?" Du Fei scoffed and said, "Just wait, by then you can wash and drink at the same time." The two beauties couldn't help but laugh at him. "You just keep bragging." "Yeah, Captain, if you can wash and drink at the same time, how pure would the water you produce have to be?" Lu Ruobing and Ganting looked at him with disbelief. Du Fei just smiled and said no more, looking at Lu Ruobing. "What do you need me for? Oh, by the way, don't you feel awkward wearing my military uniform all the time?" Lu Ruobing smiled and pointed to the brand new military uniform on the bed, saying, "I bought you a set of men's military uniform today at the stronghold. Try it on. Remember to eat after changing. We will leave first." After saying that, she pulled Ganting out of the room. Du Fei looked at the new men's military uniform and smiled slightly. His deputy was indeed quite thoughtful. Wearing women's clothing all the time wasn't quite right, so he would change into it. In the vast cave, the aroma of food wafted through the air. The female soldiers formed a long line to get their meals, while the sisters behind craned their necks, swallowing their saliva. Today's meal was no longer the tapioca porridge and wild greens, but rather rice and stir-fried meat strips. Previously, mealtime felt like heading to the gallows, but today was entirely different. The entire cave felt festive, devoid of the usual lifelessness, replaced by liveliness and joy. Rice and stir-fried meat strips, how delicious. I love it. I remember having such meals when I first joined 5 years ago. I joined late and have never had them. It's too extravagant, but I like it. The female soldiers feasted heartily, their faces radiating happiness and joy. It's so delicious. Xiaoying licked the last grain of rice from the bottom of her bowl with her tongue, letting out a sigh of contentment. She lit a cigarette, instinctively propping her lovely leg on the wooden dining table, enjoying the moment as she blew out a smoke ring. However, her beautiful dimple quickly faded, and her enchanting eyes revealed sadness and gloom. She sighed, truly wishing to savor such days a little longer. Unfortunately, she knew that her physical condition would soon reach its limit. This kind of food is indeed a rare delicacy, but our resources are running low. Beside her, Ganting finished eating, licked her lips, and said, I think we can manage this kind of meal once every 3 days, but if we eat like this every day, we probably won't last long. The commander is definitely spoiling the sisters. Sun Xiao Qian chimed in, just wait in a few days when they have to eat the tapioca soaked in disinfectant and wild greens again, they won't be able to eat it, including me. But I really want to live like this, just like Ganting said, having rice every 3 days would be fine. Lu Ruobing sat among them silent, shaking her head with a bitter smile. Indeed, if this continues, all the female soldiers in the entire regiment will really be spoiled by Du Fei. By the way, why haven't we seen the commander? At that moment, a female soldier asked. The commander is changing clothes and will be here soon. Really? Then I'll eat slowly. I heard Ruobing bought the commander a set of male military uniform, very handsome. The commander is already handsome, okay? Yes, even in women's clothing, he can't hide his masculine charm. Wearing male military attire, he's definitely a male god. Keep it down, can you really call him a male god? Didn't you see how Ruobing shot you a look just now? I think only Ruobing deserves a male god like the commander. He just learned from me. If you want to think about it, keep it in your heart or dream about it. You all understand, right? A group of female soldiers chatted and laughed while eating. Hearing the whispers of the female soldiers, Xia Ingganting's son, Xiao Qian, and others wore mischievous. Lu Ruobing's cheeks flushed as she looked at the female soldiers, playfully scolding. You can't even control your mouths while eating. If you keep gossiping, I won't hesitate to tear your mouths apart. Immediately, the female soldiers fell silent, making faces and sticking out their tongues, ceasing their discussions. Just then, a strong, well-proportioned, heroic figure walked in. Du Fei appeared before everyone, dressed in a brand new, sharply tailored male military uniform. In an instant, the entire cave fell silent with the sound of a pin dropping audible. Bang bang. Bang bang. The female soldiers' breaths quickened, and they could hear each other's heartbeats. So handsome. Xia Ying's beautiful eyes widened as she murmured first. She quickly set her inappropriate legs down from the wooden boards, swiftly extinguishing her cigarette, and sat properly like a gentle girl. Wow, so handsome. Ganting and Sun Xiaoqian exclaimed. They only knew that the commander looked better than women in female military uniform, but they didn't expect him to be more handsome than any man they had ever seen in male military uniform. This is our commander. How can he be this handsome? I can't take it anymore, I'm going to faint. All the female soldiers wore dazed expressions, feeling as if they were suffocating, and several even had drool trickling from the corners of their mouths. Lu Ruobing was also stunned, momentarily lost in the whirlwind. Ding. Reputation 10. Ding. Reputation 10. Ding. Intimacy 1. Ding. Reputation 10. Ding. Intimacy 1. Ding. Reputation 10. With the system prompts echoing in her mind, Du Fei, smiling, approached Lu Ruobing and said, This uniform fits well, thank you. Oh. Lu Ruobing came back to her senses and realized Du Fei was speaking to her. She hurriedly replied, No need to thank me, Ganting, quickly go and get the commander some food. Seeing Lu Ruobing's dazed expression, Xia Ying beside her couldn't help but curl her lips into a teasing smile. After dinner, the female soldiers were exhausted from the battle at Heishui River in the morning and a busy afternoon. Du Fei ordered the entire regiment to rest well for the night to regain their strength, ready to commence a vigorous effort the following day. As night fell, Nyo de Beos delivered the last load of scrap and left after settling the payment. The Women's Field Combat Regiment would rise from this pile of scrap, and the Qingchuan Ruins mission would become their first chance to turn the tide. Du Fei gazed at the mountain of scrap in the camp, a glimmer of determination appearing in his eyes. The 48th Division had laid traps with great care, and when the time came, they would face them and see who was tougher, who felt the pain. First, arrange the manufacturing tools. Du Fei walked into the ammunition depot, surveying the surroundings. He began to set up the tools. They were divided into 3 areas: Area 1 for manufacturing weapons and ammunition, Area 2 for communication and intelligent control core devices, and Area 3 for mold shells and various components. Soon, various tools and precision instruments from the universal toolbox were continuously placed in suitable. These tools possessed energy, so every time Du Fei set one down, he turned on its light, illuminating the vast air raid shelter like it was daylight. In less than half an hour, the previously empty ammunition depot had transformed into a top-notch manufacturing workshop. Du Fei stroked his chin, surveying the clearly defined manufacturing areas, a satisfied smile emerging on his face. If Lu Ruobing and the other beauties were to see this tomorrow, how shocked would they be? In the next moment, detailed blueprints of the water purifier and rehabilitation pool surfaced, in Du Fei's mind. He planned to work through the night to produce the water purifier and rehabilitation pool equipment. For the next half-month, everyone would be engaged in high-intensity work, including himself. With the rehabilitation pool, not only could it enhance physical fitness, but eliminating fatigue would also be a matter of minutes. Du Fei took a deep breath and set to work. Some parts of the water purifier and rehabilitation pool were readily available, while others would be relatively easy to manufacture according to the blueprints. Clang clang. As various devices and tools were put into operation, Du Fei began to get busy. In the mountain mining area, the generator was rumbling and the lights were bright. Chen Yuanshan led the miners in a night battle as makeshift wooden shacks rose up one after another. Despite being drenched in sweat, they were all full of vigor. In the morning, the sky brightened. Du Fei exhaled. The water purifier and rehabilitation pool equipment were completed, leaving only installation. At that moment, a female soldier suddenly rushed in, her expression anxious as she saluted. Report. What is it? Du Fei frowned. Report, Commander, one of the officers, Xia Ying, is about to pass away. The female soldier's face showed grief, then continued, the deputy commander and the others are guarding the medical room, and asked if you want to see Xia Ying for the last time. What? Du Fei was taken aback. Xia Ying had looked fine last night. How could she be in such a state so quickly? Pass my orders. Immediate action. Quickly transport this equipment to the pool beside the living area. Understood, Commander. Seeing Du Fei's serious expression, the female soldier did not dare to delay and quickly turned to carry out the order. Du Fei followed out of the ammunition depot, hastily heading towards the living area. Outside the medical room in the air raid shelter. Ruobing, I didn't expect that, Xia Ying. So soon. Wu Gan Ting and Sun Zioqian's voices were choked with sobs. The radiation she suffered was fatal. It was bound to come. Lu Rubing's eyes were filled with tears as she looked up at the cave's ceiling, tears streaming down her face. In the Women's Field Combat Regiment, Xia Ying was an outstanding commander, a great assistant to Lu Ruobing and a close sister to her. At this moment, Xia Ying was about to leave this world. Although Lu Ruobing spoke such words, her heart could not bear the immense pain. Xia Ying was fine just last night, who would have thought? It's all this damned radiation. She told me yesterday. She must hold on until the commander produces the tracked vehicle. Yes, she was still encouraging herself, hoping to be the first to drive the new tank. Whoa. Outside the medical room, the female soldiers wiped their tears, softly weeping. Despite having experienced the tragic deaths of many sisters before, no one wanted to see such an excellent commander and sister leave them. Just as everyone was heartbroken, Du Fei rushed over, asking in a deep voice, where is Xia Ying? What is her condition now? Inside, the medics are trying to save her. Lu Ruobing wiped her tears and said softly, don't cry. Du Fei admonished the female soldiers gently, then turned to Lu Ruobing and said, take me in to see. Okay. Lu Ruobing nodded, thinking it was only right for Du Fei as the commander to send Xia Ying off for the last time. Entering the medical room, Su Ninger, a biology major, and several medics were trying to save Xia Ying. The medical equipment inside was extremely rudimentary, containing only a few ventilators, a cardiac resuscitator, and a functional monitor, all very old. At this moment, Xia Ying's face was pale, her body convulsing uncontrollably, occasionally coughing violently, with each cough bringing forth dark red blood from the corners of her mouth. It was evident that in her final moments, she was still enduring immense pain. Xia Ying stared at Du Fei's arrival, but at this moment, she was already on the brink of death, unable to utter a single word. Xia Ying, hold on. Du Fei gently caressed her forehead, turning to Su Ninger and asking, what is her condition? Report, Commander, Xia Ying has gone into shock twice already. The situation is likely. Su Ninger hesitated to continue. Can we hold on for a while? Du Fei asked gravely. If we use all our anti-radiation serums and medications, we can only keep her alive for about 2 hours, Su Ninger. Good, as long as we can hold on for 2 hours, I have a way to save her. Du Fei solemnly commanded Su Ninger, make sure to hold on, I leave it to you. After that, he turned and left the medical room. Yes. Su Ninger stared at Du Fei's retreating figure, stunned for 2 seconds. What did I just hear? She did not understand what the commander meant. It should be known that Xia Ying's radiation was in a late stage outbreak, and there was simply no cure. How could the commander say he had a way to save her? Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting, and Sun Shaoqian all wore expressions of disbelief as they followed him out. Du Fei stepped outside the medical room, waving to the crowd, song, Jia, stop crying, and come with me. Seeing the commander summon her, Song Jia stopped crying. Although she did not understand why he called her, she quickly followed Du Fei towards the living area. Lu Ruobing and the others grew increasingly puzzled. Oh, what was he planning to do? But thinking of Du Fei's earlier statement in the medical room about having a way to save Xia Ying, they quickly followed him. In the living area in the rehabilitation pool, Song Jia placed the distillation device into the right groove and connected to the main unit. Yes. You few are responsible for installing the water outlets on the pool walls and bottom. Be sure to check each pipe. Yes. Du Fei was urgently directing the assembly while a diagram was laid out in front of him. Song Jia led the engineers in a hurried installation, while Lu Ruobing and others lent a hand running back and forth. They did not know the purpose of Du Fei building this pool, but hearing that it could save Xia Ying's life, they did not question it, and remained busy. Over an hour passed. In the medical room, Su Ninger and several medics were sweating profusely. They were administering the remaining anti-radiation injections and medications one by one into Xia Ying. Soon the usable injections and medications were nearly exhausted. Without the maintenance of the injections, Xia Ying's condition quickly worsened. Su Ninger frowned tightly and hurriedly called into the communicator, "Commander, please respond, please respond." Received, what's the situation? Xia Ying can only hold on for another 10 minutes at most. Order immediately, bring her over. Yes. All the equipment for the rehabilitation pool had been installed. Du Fei put down the communicator and let out a sigh. Only the last step remained to start the main unit. He opened the technology library and exchanged 100 reputation points for an energy crystal the size of a walnut. Then he quickly placed it into the energy slot of the main unit. The next moment, a humming sound reverberated. The energy crystal emitted a layer of azure light. The rehabilitation pool's main unit began to operate. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. Multiple water outlets at the bottom and walls of the pool began to release wisps of white mist, and after about a minute, azure rehabilitation liquid started to flow out. Immediately after, the flow increased, and the pool quickly became a deep azure. Lu Ruobing and the others widened their beautiful eyes in astonishment at this magical scene. "Commander, what is this?" Lu Ruobing couldn't help but ask. "This is the rehabilitation pool, and that liquid is the rehabilitation liquid." Before he could finish speaking, Su Ninger and several medics rushed over carrying Xia Ying. "Hand her over to me." Du Fei directly stepped forward, picked up Xia Ying, and jumped into the rehabilitation pool under everyone's gaze. Then he quickly laid Xia Ying flat in the water, allowing the pool water to cover her body and face, leaving only her nostrils exposed. "Commander, this is..." Su Ninger felt quite confused. Could this pool water really save Xia Ying? Du Fei ignored her, instead frowning as he observed Xia Ying, while also sensing the changes in his own body. The technology library described how miraculous the effects of the rehabilitation pool were. To be honest, at this moment he felt a bit anxious and did not have full confidence. After all, this was the first experiment. 30 seconds. 50 seconds. 1 minute. 3 minutes. What was happening? Was it not working? Just as Du Fei felt lost and tense. Ding. Radiation eliminated 5. Ding. Radiation eliminated 5. Ding. Radiation eliminated 5. Ding. Radiation completely eliminated. Ding. Constitution 1. Ding. Constitution 1. Oh my god. It worked. Du Fei was overjoyed. In just a few minutes, not only had the radiation he suffered been completely eliminated, but his constitution had also been enhanced. At this moment, he felt an overwhelming surge of strength, and his constitution had clearly changed. It went without saying that the radiation Xia Ying had suffered should also be undergoing elimination. Ding. Constitution enhancement has reached the limit. Further consumption required for continued enhancement. It seems this rehabilitation pool's enhancement of constitution is also limited, but that is already impressive. Du Fei thought to himself. A few minutes later, an unexpected scene occurred. Xia Ying's body stopped twitching, her previously pale face began to regain color, and her breathing gradually calmed from rapid to steady. At this moment, she looked like a sleeping beauty from a fairy tale. After a while, she opened her eyes, and upon seeing herself in Du Fei's embrace, her beautiful eyes widened. "Commander, I am not dead." Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting Sun, Xiaoqian, Song Jia, and others were all incredibly shocked. Su Ninger and several medics hurriedly approached, using the functional detection device to check Xia Ying's body. "Heavens, how is this possible? I can't believe it. Xia Ying is fine. The radiation she suffered has completely disappeared." Su Ninger gasped, overly excited. "Commander, what on earth is happening? Is it the water in this pool that healed her?" Seeing Su Ninger's expression, Lu Ruobing grabbed her. "Ning, are you sure Xia Ying is completely healed?" "Absolutely. I'm sure." Su Ninger nodded, emphatically pointing at the functional detection device, and said, "Look, her BOTUS functional indicators are all supernormal, health rate 100. In other words, Xia Ying is now healthier than any of us." As soon as the words fell, my heavens. This is simply too miraculous. Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting Sun, Xiaoqian, Song Jia, and the medics present were all stunned. "Ing Bao, how are you feeling now?" "I feel amazing, especially the feeling of being held by the commander." Xia Ying revealed a charming dimple and said playfully. After saying that, she looked up at Du Fei, her beautiful eyes filled with gratitude with hints of tears shimmering. At this moment, soaking in the pool water, she felt her body had never been this comfortable. Although she did not understand what this azure pool water was, she knew that it was Du Fei who had saved her from the brink of death. "So great. You naughty girl, hurry up and thank the commander." Lu Ruobing wiped her tears, sobbing. "Commander, thank you." Xia Ying's expression was sincere. She was a stubborn woman, and this was the first time she had said thank you to someone. However, she was well aware that she would never forget Du Fei's life-saving grace. Soon the news of Xia Ying's recovery spread throughout the entire regiment. All the female soldiers rushed over. Awesome! Sister Xia Ying is alive. Wow! Sister Xia Ying has come back to life. By the way, I remember the commander made a bet with Sister Xia Ying. At this moment, a female soldier reminded, "Isn't that so? Kiss her, hurry up." The female soldiers began to shout in unison. "Ying Bao, give her a kiss." Lu Ruobing and the others joined in the commotion. Under pressure, Xia Ying quickly pecked Du Fei's face. Ding. Relationship value 1. No, a peck on the cheek doesn't count. We want to see a real kiss. Yes, it has to be French, the kind that intertwines tongues. The female soldiers felt it was not enough and began to cheer again. "You bunch of little rascals, you are really naughty. Oh, leave some room for others. Don't be too greedy," Xia Ying said. How could that be possible? She had never kissed any man's mouth, let alone being asked to do the intertwining kind. Why are you being so hesitant? This isn't like our Ying Bao's character. Yes, Sister Xia Ying, hurry up. Are you going to do it or not? The female soldiers were relentless, urging her on, some even resorting to teasing tactics. Come on, if you can do it, you go first. Xia Ying pushed Du Fei forward and said. As soon as these words came out, it immediately drew a burst of laughter. Du Fei stood up, also shaking his head in disbelief. After a brief commotion, "Commander, this pool water is so miraculous. Can you tell us what effects it has?" Su Ninger said excitedly. Blink. Lu Ruobing, Gan Ting, Sun Xiaoqian, and all the female soldiers, including Xia Ying, all looked eagerly at Du Fei. "This is the rehabilitation pool I developed, capable of eliminating radiation and treating various injuries and ailments. Frequent use can also enhance physical fitness." Seeing their eager expressions, Du Fei explained the effects of the rehabilitation pool. Does it really have so many effects? As a biologist, Su Ninger quietly pondered to herself. However, she soon realized how foolish her doubts were. Xia Ying was living proof. She felt as though her expertise had been wasted, as the rehabilitation pool before her completely overturned all her understanding of biology and medicine. The issue of radiation is currently a global challenge that has yet to be resolved. Even with the significant time spent by the Time Federation and other major forces, they have only managed to develop some radiation-resistant injections, which cannot completely eliminate the problem. Yet the rehabilitation pool developed by Du Fei can not only completely eliminate radiation, but also cure various injuries and diseases. How astonishing that is. One can only say that the leader Du Fei before them is an unparalleled genius. Su Ninger's eyes sparkled with immense excitement as she exclaimed, "I believe that with this rehabilitation pool, if we have enough time, we could achieve immortality. No, it should be eternal youth." Du Fei corrected with a smile and continued, "I forgot to mention another benefit, eternal youth." This statement immediately caused an uproar. Lu Ruobing and all the female soldiers were utterly shocked. They could hardly imagine immortality. What did eternal youth even mean? As far as they knew, the highest rulers of the Time Federation had created a radiation-free sanctuary. Even so, those rulers could only achieve immortality, not eternal youth. Yet now the rehabilitation pool developed by the leader can grant eternal youth. At this moment, Lu Ruobing and all the female soldiers felt their hearts racing with excitement, as if they were dreaming. "Leader, will the recovery fluid in the rehabilitation pool run out?" Ganting suddenly asked. "No, the recovery fluid that eliminates radiation will evaporate, while new recovery fluid will automatically replenish itself," Du Fei explained. "So does that mean we could make a fortune selling the recovery fluid?" Ganting said excitedly, mainly worried about her dwindling funds. "It's great to have such thoughts, but you must understand the principle of having precious things may invite disaster." Du Fei looked at Ganting and said, "Let's consider such ideas once we become strong enough." The leader is right. Lu Ruobing nodded, then scanned everyone with extreme seriousness. "I'll reiterate, none of the matters regarding the women's combat team can be leaked to the outside world. We are not strong enough right now, and if the Federation or other forces find out, the consequences would be unimaginable. From now on, everything revolves around the leader. If you want to live a good life, just follow the orders given by the leader. Remember to obey and cooperate." Got it. Got it. All the female soldiers replied in unison, their voices echoing in the air raid shelter. As long as the leader is here, they could achieve immortality in the future. From this moment on, Lu Ruobing and all the female soldiers not only saw hope for survival, but were also filled with beautiful aspirations for the future. "This is just a small rehabilitation pool. We will build a larger one later." Du Fei looked at Lu Ruobing and continued, "All right, now we can arrange for everyone to take turns to experience it." After a moment of thought, he added, "It's best to remove all clothing for a more effective experience. You have 1 hour to experience it, and after that everyone must gather for a mission assignment." "Yes." Lu Ruobing and all the female soldiers saluted Du Fei in unison. As Du Fei left, the female soldiers eagerly began to undress, jumping into the pool without a stitch on. "Hey, why are you still soaking?" Lu Ruobing said to Xia Ying. "I didn't take off my clothes earlier, now I'm experiencing a nude soak again." Xiaoying raised her eyebrows and lay back comfortably. This feels so wonderful. I feel warmth spreading through my body. Oh my, the radiation spots on my body are fading. My shoulder and neck pain is gone. This is so magical. Ooh, I feel so full of strength. The female soldiers soaked in the pool, each displaying their surprise exclamations ringing out continuously. Ganting, your radiation exposure is quite unique. Spread your legs apart, that way you can soak better. Soon, Ganting, who was closing her eyes to feel the experience, blushed and said, mind your own business, I've already spread them apart. Back in the room, Du Fei's once soaked clothes had become quite dry. The reason is that the recovery fluid rapidly neutralizes and evaporates upon encountering radiation in the air. From this, Du Fei understood. The recovery fluid cannot be preserved once it leaves the rehabilitation pool. This means that simply selling the recovery fluid is unrealistic. If they were to sell, it would have to be the entire rehabilitation pool setup. However, that is a plan for the future, not something to consider now. Looking at the blueprints for the Land King tracked vehicle on the table, Du Fei pondered for a moment. Then he opened the system interface and noticed some changes. Host Du Fei. Position Commander. Legion Auxiliary Women's Combat Team. Reputation points 1967. Intimacy points 16. Physical quality primary enhancement 5 primary advanced super enhancement. Items Universal Toolbox 1 a rare material melting agent 450 milliliters. Du Fei's reputation points had nearly reached 2,000 and he had gained 16 intimacy points. It is important to note that reputation and intimacy points can be repeatedly and indefinitely earned. As long as the people around him feel grateful or fond of him, he can gain reputation and intimacy points. Thus, Du Fei placed significant emphasis on the living conditions of the female soldiers, including those of Chun Yuanshan and the miners. I didn't expect my physical quality to change after soaking in the rehabilitation pool. Primary Advanced Super, it actually has 3 stages. Du Fei stared at the physical quality section, feeling curious. Now he only felt a surge of energy within him, unsure of how strong the primary enhancement really was. Driven by curiosity, Du Fei reached out to grab a small stone protruding from the wall. With a firm squeeze. In the next moment, crack! The hard stone on the wall was unexpectedly cracked by him. Du Fei was astonished. What the heck? Now, if the physical quality is only at a primary enhancement of 5, how powerful would it be at a super enhancement? Wouldn't all his female soldiers become steel warriors later on? Next, Du Fei calmed his excited heart and opened the technology repository. Reputation points 1967. Thinking of the 2 drones that were shot down by the invisible winged beasts in the storage, he planned to exchange for another drone blueprint. Ding! Congratulations to the host for using 1,500 reputation points to exchange for a blueprint of the Predator stealth drone. The design, manufacturing parameters, functions, and more of the Predator drone emerged in Du Fei's mind. Predator stealth drone, anti-gravity device, all-around detection, artificial intelligence program, capable of carrying various attack weapons with comprehensive control. In stealth mode, it can interfere with or steal enemy communications and perform precision strikes on aerial, ground, and maritime targets. Main materials: secret silver or vibrating gold energy crystal. Click to expand more. Not bad, killing enemies invisibly and taking their heads from 1,000 miles away. It's simply a tool that inflates ambition. Du Fei secretly praised. If vibrating gold were used as the main material for the body, it would be even more powerful. However, the synthesis technology for vibrating gold requires 100 intimacy points to exchange, and he currently doesn't have enough. For now, he could only use secret silver as the main material. It seems intimacy points are also very important. He needs to find ways to obtain more. However, a Predator stealth drone made with secret silver is already impressive in the current world. With such an aerial killing machine combined with the Land King tracked vehicle, the Qingchuan Ruins mission is sure. Outside the air raid shelter, the members of the women's combat team gathered. Du Fei's gaze swept over all the female soldiers, each standing tall and proud with a refreshed spirit. Next, we will work hard for half a month. Your efforts will not only determine the victory of the Qingchuan Ruins mission, but also be the first step for the women's combat team towards a bright future. Ganting, you are responsible for sorting out the communication equipment materials that can be used. Workshop Area 2 is yours. Yes. Sun Xiaoqian, you are responsible for sorting out the manufacturing materials for weapons and ammunition. Workshop Area 1 is yours. Yes. Song Jia, you are responsible for the infrastructure work of the entire team, including the installation of water purifiers, construction of public baths, and camp walls. Additionally, promptly deliver clean water to the living area and the mining area. You can go to Workshop Area 3 to make any tools you need. Yes. Xiaoying, you are responsible for forming a special operations team to hunt nearby Timebeasts while ensuring the living expenses of the entire team during this period. Yes. Captain. With Du Fei's orders given, Ganting and the others holding various blueprints began to enter work mode. The female soldiers of the women's combat team began to get busy. Why wasn't I assigned a task? Lu Ruobing approached and asked Du Fei. Due to the hot weather, she wore a thin camouflage short outfit, and after soaking in the rehabilitation pool, she appeared even more enchanting. Especially with her curvy, voluptuous body, she exuded a mature and alluring charm. Du Fei couldn't help but feel a stir in his heart as he said, "Your task is very important. Come with me to the mining area." "To the mining area?" "Yes, come with me to refine secret silver," Du Fei said. Since a large amount of secret silver was needed, he required a helper. "Really?" Lu Ruobing was slightly taken aback, a hint of excitement appearing in her eyes. She had always been curious about how secret silver was refined, and unexpectedly Du Fei entrusted her with such an important task. Deep down, Lu Ruobing felt greatly touched, showing just how much Du Fei trusted her. Ding. Intimacy points 5. Du Fei felt a surge of joy. Previously, it was only an increase of 1 intimacy point. Now, it had started from 5. It seems the closer they became, the higher the intimacy points generated. In the mining area on the mountain, a dozen simple wooden shelters were erected, serving as dormitories for Chun Yuanshan and the miners. Not far from the wooden shelters, there were also 2 closely adjacent wooden houses. These 2 wooden houses were specially built by Chun Yuanshan at Du Fei's request, and they turned out to be quite unique. The 2 wooden houses had several steps leading up over a meter high from the ground, with a connecting walkway made of wooden planks furnished with a few rattan chairs. Inside the wooden houses there were bedrooms, a simple bathing area, and tables and chairs. The area was rich in trees, and everything was made from locally sourced materials. One could only say that Chun Yuanshan truly put in a lot of effort. Arriving in front of the wooden house, Du Fei felt very satisfied. Wow, such a beautiful wooden house. Lu Ruobing's beautiful eyes widened as she admired everything in front of her. Looking at Du Fei, "Did you have them build this? After all, we will be working in the mountains more often, and one of them is yours." Du Fei followed behind, watching her slim waist and rounded hips, smiling slightly. "Really? That's great." Lu Ruobing turned around, her pretty face showing joy. After all, she had been living in the air raid shelter for so many years, and the wooden house surprised her greatly. "It would be wonderful if we could all move out of the air raid shelter and live in wooden houses like this. That's not a difficult task. Once the Qingchuan Ruins mission is completed, we can build as many wooden houses like this as we need," Du Fei said with a smile. The mountains were filled with towering trees nearly thick enough for several people to embrace, and simply felling 2 trees would be enough to build a wooden house. Moreover, with secret silver bullets and rehabilitation pools, the Timebeasts and outdoor radiation were no longer a concern. "If what you're saying is true, then even if each person has 30 years, we won't need to return to the base city. We can just root ourselves here, centered around the camp." "I think your idea is quite good," Du Fei nodded in approval. "Aside from the federal base cities and strongholds, as long as you have the ability, you can occupy any land in the wild." Du Fei had such plans, for example, to build a base similar to a federal stronghold. However, it would take time. After all, building a similar base would require a massive amount of time, and it was impossible to achieve overnight. "Are you sure?" "Sure. Then I'll take you seriously." Lu Ruobing blinked, looking at Du Fei earnestly. "In the future, within 100 miles of the camp, all of it will be ours," Du Fei said, looking around. "You're just boasting. 100 miles would include the federal base 83. Lu Ruobing pouted playfully. One must dare to dream," Du Fei chuckled, then said, "Let's go check out the mining area." The sound of drilling equipment roared beside the river gorge. Chun Yuanshan led the miners, and they had already begun mining, working vigorously. Secret silver ore is not the same as secret silver. It is just stone containing a trace of secret silver material, which is not difficult to mine. Currently, Chun Yuanshan and the miners only had 1 rock drill, and all the mining from breaking the stone to transporting it needed to be done manually. Logically, a crusher and a rail transport truck are essential, but funds are currently tight, so they can only make do. Even so, Chun Yuanshan and the miners remained full of energy, ensuring that the daily mined ore did not fall below 100 tons. At this moment in the designated area, there were already 5 or 6 piles of freshly mined secret silver ore. Following Du Fei's instructions, these secret silver ores were all cut to similar specifications. This way it would save on refining agents and ensure that a single drop of refining agent could completely extract the secret silver from a piece of ore. These ores have a good content of secret silver. We need to get to work now. Du Fei examined a few piles of ore, and 2 bottles of rare substance refining agents appeared in his hands. 1 bottle was left over from before, and the other was exchanged from the technology repository using 100 reputation points. "What's inside this?" Lu Ruobing took a bottle of refining agent, curious as she asked. "This is a special solvent for refining secret silver," Du Fei said as he opened the lid, sucked some refining agent into a pipette, and began demonstrating for her. Plop. As a drop of refining agent gently dripped onto a piece of ore, the ore rippled like water, and the silver stars covering it began to converge and then slowly disappeared. Followed by this, a silvery white shining liquid flowed out from the ore's interior, quickly solidifying. In the next moment, the ore lost its luster, and a small piece of secret silver appeared on the ground. Is this secret silver? Did you develop this solvent? It's incredible. Lu Rubing's beautiful eyes widened, and this scene left her in disbelief. You try it, Du Fei said with a smile. Okay. Lu Ruobing nodded, and then followed Du Fei's method to drip a drop of refining agent onto another piece of ore. After a while the ore also rippled, releasing silvery white liquid. Is this successfully refined? It's that easy. She picked up the solidified small piece of secret silver, overjoyed and unable to resist glancing at Du Fei. How could a boy just over 18 be so amazing? Absolutely a genius among geniuses. 2 days passed, and the various tasks at the camp progressed relatively smoothly. Du Fei and Lu Ruobing were continuously refining the secret silver in the mine. Although this substance was lightweight, the total amount they extracted together reached over 10 kilograms, indicating a significant bounty. Sun Xiaoqian was skilled in weapons and ammunition, while Gan Ting excelled in communication protocols. Both had solid theoretical knowledge, but they were somewhat inexperienced in practical applications. During this time, Du Fei personally guided them. From secret silver bullets and shells to integrated modules and intricate components, he taught them how to manufacture step by step. After several rounds, Sun Xiaoqian and Gan Ting became much more proficient, and they were deeply impressed by Du Fei's expertise. With the new batch of ammunition produced, Xia Ying's special forces naturally received ample supplies. They did not disappoint the entire regiment. After only 2 days of hunting, they increased the time stored in the card to over 30,000 hours. Subsequently, Du Fei busied himself between the mine and the workshop, taking a few minutes to soak in the recovery pool whenever he felt fatigued. He was responsible for manufacturing the Predator stealth drone, while simultaneously keeping an eye on the progress of the Land King tracked vehicle. If any discrepancies arose, he would promptly correct them. Everything was under his control. On the 5th day, the previously installed 2-wheeled armored vehicles were fitted with brand new tracks and some weaponry. The Land King tracked vehicle was gradually taking shape. Wow, it's so beautiful. Our tracked vehicle is about to be completed. Gan Ting, Sun Xiaoqian, and a group of female engineers exclaimed excitedly as they gazed at the chassis. Look at how happy you all are. It's still early though, Du Fei chuckled. This is merely the exterior. The real core components are not yet fully constructed, and it will take some time before it can be operational. Fortunately, these female soldiers were quite perceptive, grasping concepts quickly. The production processes had begun to run smoothly. In fact, Du Fei was quite excited inside, though he maintained an appearance of calm. Everyone has performed remarkably well lately. The next few days are crucial, so I hope you all continue to strive for excellence. Yes, Commander. Upon receiving Du Fei's encouragement and praise, Gan Ting, Sun Xiaoqian, and the female engineers all revealed expressions of excitement. As night fell, Du Fei arrived at the mine, quickly ate a couple of bites, and then entered the wooden cabin to study some important components of the drone. Now, aside from Lu Ruobing, another person named Su Ninger had joined in refining the secret silver. This task was not technically demanding, and the two of them could essentially finish refining the mine or each day. Du Fei only needed to collect the refined secret silver. What are you studying? A voice suddenly chimed. Du Fei was startled and turned around to see Lu Ruobing standing behind him, having approached without making a sound. Do you walk without making any noise? After speaking, he looked down and noticed she was barefoot, which explained her stealthy approach. Since the two wooden cabins were connected, Lu Ruobing often came over to report her work after finishing her tasks. The two had grown more familiar with each other, and their interactions were less restrained, becoming more casual. I love the feeling of walking barefoot on the wooden planks. It's simply too comfortable. Seeing that Du Fei seemed genuinely startled, Lu Ruobing raised one of her delicate feet and smiled somewhat bashfully. Then, curious, she approached the table, leaned over, and began examining the drawings. Lu Ruobing was still wearing a thin camouflage top, and as she bent down, Du Fei couldn't help but swallow nervously. Despite Lu Rubing's serious demeanor as she flipped through the drawings, Du Fei even began to suspect that she had intentionally come over to entice him. You might not understand these drawings. They depict the core components and anti-gravity systems of the drone. No wonder I was so baffled. It turns out to be about the drone. What? The drone? Lu Ruobing exclaimed in surprise after realizing. Seeing her straighten up, Du Fei wished he could slap himself twice. How could he have said she wouldn't understand? Shouldn't he have explained it to her seriously? This is the Predator stealth drone. It should be completed along with the Land King tracked vehicle in the next few days. Oh my gosh, does that mean we'll have drones in the future? Lu Ruobing said excitedly, unable to contain her eagerness. Can you tell me about the performance of this drone, eh? Sure. Du Fei nodded, pointing at the drawings. Come, look at these designs. Just as Lu Ruobing was about to bend down again, a female soldier's voice suddenly rang out from outside. Deputy Commander, good news. The water purifier has been installed, and your bathing area now has pure water. That's great. I'm coming right away. Lu Ruobing replied, and said to Du Fei, I'll talk to you about this after I finish my shower. You continue your research. After saying that, she quickly ran back to her wooden cabin. Du Fei was speechless. With this sudden interruption, how could he focus on his research now? The night was tranquil. The workers in the mining area had already fallen into a deep slumber. There were female soldiers on duty sleeping soundly. Outside the wooden house, Du Fei sat in a rattan chair gazing at the mountains shrouded in the night. Is this drone really as impressive as you say? Lu Ruobing had just finished her bath wearing a low-cut thin shirt with damp strands of hair still dripping water. At this moment, she had already grasped the various capabilities of the Predator stealth drone, and her heart couldn't help but feel a wave of shock. You'll find out soon enough. Du Fei smiled lightly and continued. The Federation stipulates that conflicts are not allowed between legions, otherwise the party instigating the trouble will be regarded as anti-human. Haha, in the eyes of the Temporal Federation, humans are quite noble, but that only includes the upper echelons, the aristocrats, and the wealthy. As soon as the lower class shows resistance or threatens their interests, that is considered anti-human. Lu Ruobing didn't understand why Du Fei suddenly shifted to this topic, so she sighed. It's inherently unfair, but there's nothing we can do about it. Du Fei still wore a gentle smile and continued. What I wanted to say is I've forgotten to tell you that this drone can evade the Temporal Federation's Heavenly Eye. What? The Predator stealth drone can avoid monitoring by the Heavenly Eye. Lu Ruobing's face once again displayed a shocked expression. Suddenly she thought of something and looked at Du Fei. You can't possibly be thinking. The humiliation and bullying we've endured are one thing, but if we strike back, isn't that justifiable? Du Fei said. Lu Ruobing clenched her fist, a hint of exhilaration flashing in her eyes. She instantly understood Du Fei's intention. He wanted to use this drone to confront the 48th Division. Indeed, the Women's Combat Corps had suffered oppression, humiliation, and bullying for years, and it had reached a breaking point. Striking back would be absolutely justified. However, currently we can only produce 2 Predator stealth drones. Can we truly take on the powerful 48th Division? Although Lu Ruobing felt a twinge of worry, she didn't show it. Instead, she excitedly looked at Du Fei. So you already have a plan to deal with the 48th Division. The 48th Division is just a starting point. The ultimate plan is aimed at Wu Dagui. Really? When Lu Ruobing heard the name Wu Dagui, her hatred surged. Her parents had died at his hands. She didn't expect Du Fei's plan to be against Wu Dagui. Gratitude shone in her eyes as she said, Thank you. No need to thank me. Du Fei looked up at the night sky, lost in thought. Lu Ruobing fell silent as her mind raced. Wu Dagui was a mid-level figure in the Temporal Federation, currently at the peak of his power. According to assessments from the Heavenly Eye website, he was likely to be promoted to a higher position in the near future. Not to mention he commands 3 divisions. His family background and intricate connections are beyond what ordinary people can shake. This man before her was planning to provoke Wu Dagui for her sake. Lu Ruobing found herself at a loss. Does he like me? I'm 23, 5 years older than him. Is it appropriate? Thinking of this, she discreetly glanced at Du Fei, her face slightly flushed. After a moment, Lu Ruobing calmed her emotions and couldn't help but ask, What are you thinking? Thinking about my dad and sister. Du Fei replied. At least you have family to care about. Lu Ruobing sighed softly, drying her damp hair, and said, They should be very happy living in Revival City. The situation isn't optimistic. Wu Dagui probably won't let them off. What? Lu Ruobing was taken aback, puzzled. Wu Dagui. Did your family provoke him? She suddenly realized that Du Fei's plan to deal with Wu Dagui wasn't for the reasons she imagined. Yeah, my dad had an affair with Wu Dagui's wife, and the matter got exposed. Du Fei chuckled, and then recounted how Du Lei saved Wang Shuzhen on the battlefield along with their subsequent romantic entanglements. After listening, Lu Ruobing finally understood and couldn't help but murmur, So that's how it is. My only concern is their current situation. Actually, there's no need to worry. Revival City has a resident protection mechanism, plus your dad is a person of merit. They should be fine. Lu Ruobing reassured him. We'll take it step by step. Du Fei exhaled. Historically, affairs lead to death. Just ask Shimenqing. Although residents in the city can receive protection, Wu Dagui is a powerful figure. With just a few measures, he could easily expel my dad and sister from Revival City. Now there has been no news from Husan. We can only wait. Sigh, so annoying. My hair is too thick but itches if I don't wash it, and it's hard to dry after washing and my hands are sore. At this moment, Lu Ruobing frowned softly, complaining. She was rubbing her glossy wet hair with a towel, her actions seeming a bit impatient. Previously, the Women's Combat Corps didn't have the conditions to buy hair dryers and similar items. All the female soldiers dried their hair by hand with towels after washing. Women are like this. They love beauty and prefer to feel dry. If their hair isn't dried, it feels quite uncomfortable. Here, let me help you dry it. Du Fei said, taking the towel from Lu Ruobing's hands, and began to help dry her hair. Lu Ruobing didn't refuse, as she was quite willing to enjoy such service, and obediently bent down to cooperate with Du Fei. Ding. Affection value 10. Du Fei chuckled inwardly. Wow, 10 points, well worth the service. He sat beside Lu Ruobing, and as he brushed aside a strand of hair that fell over her chest, In an instant, Du Fei's mind went blank as if struck by lightning. Huh. Noticing Du Fei's unusual expression, Lu Ruobing glanced down at her neck, and oh no. She quickly realized she had exposed herself. Lu Ruobing hurriedly covered her neckline, stood up flustered, and said, I'll go back to sleep first. After speaking, her face flushed as she grabbed the towel from Du Fei's hand and hurriedly fled. In the following days, Du Fei dedicated himself completely to his work with no distractions. The production of the Land King tracked vehicle and the Predator stealth drone was nearing completion. Additionally, through Husan's connections, he acquired 2 second-hand trucks at a low price from the base, bringing the total to 3 trucks, including Chun Yuanshan's truck loaded with gunpowder. All 3 trucks were coated with secret silver and modified into large infantry transport vehicles and container ammunition transport vehicles. From then on, the female soldiers would no longer have to march on foot to the battlefield. Furthermore, thanks to the timely supply of secret silver, the gunpowder was nearly exhausted and various types of ammunition were being produced at a frenzied pace. The reserves of secret silver bullets and shells were ample, more than enough even for a large-scale battle. Of course, this was also due to Sun Shaoqian leading the engineers, working tirelessly day and night. At this moment, everyone was full of energy and the workshop was bustling with activity. Just as Du Fei poured liquid secret silver into the drone shell mold, Gonting and a group of female soldiers approached. Captain, I want to discuss something. Gonting stammered. What is it? Can we keep the cassava flour and wild vegetables we have stored instead of throwing them out? Gonting asked. Next to her, Lu Ruobing frowned at Du Fei and said, Are you going to throw away our food? Is that even food? Throw it all away, Du Fei replied firmly. Over the past few days, he had noticed that his meals were quite sumptuous, while the female soldiers' meals included those black vegetables soaked in disinfectant. He knew that the Women's Combat Brigade had grown accustomed to a frugal life, adding wild vegetables to their meals to save a bit. However, Du Fei would never allow such a thing, and how could he let his subordinates eat that kind of food? Moreover, a decline in happiness directly affected the acquisition of prestige points. All right, then throw it out, Gonting said, seeing that Du Fei was somewhat angry and did not dare to argue. It was me who instructed the cooking team to do this. After all, we are not wealthy right now. Lu Ruobing bit her lip and said, If we can save, we can use the funds to produce more equipment. I know we are tight on funds, and you are thinking of the entire brigade, but we cannot compromise on food. Oh, do not eat those things anymore in the future. Du Fei looked at Lu Ruobing and said solemnly, The more difficult things get, the more we must ensure that our soldiers feel warmth and hope in their hearts. Don't worry, it won't be long before our funds are no longer tight. After saying that, he turned to Gonting and asked, So how much time do we have left in the account? The Xiaoying Special Forces have accumulated a total of 85630 hours in these days, plus the previous balance, making a total of 92590 hours. 10,000 hours will be used to pay the miners' wages for 10 days, and each soldier will receive 200 hours. With a 10 handling fee deducted, the account now has 57830 hours left. Gonting recounted every expenditure clearly. Du Fei couldn't help but smile quietly. Gonting was indeed a very capable manager. I thought we were out of funds, but it turns out there are still over 50,000 hours in the account. Du Fei deliberately tapped the workbench with his finger and said to Gonting, Order spend all 50,000 hours to procure food. By so much. Gonting was taken aback, immediately regretting letting the captain know about the funds in the account. Lu Ruobing smiled bitterly and said, Can we buy a little less? She genuinely felt a bit heartbroken. It had taken so long to save this time, and now it would be consumed. No, I still feel that 50,000 hours worth of food is not enough, Du Fei said seriously, turning to Lu Ruobing and asking, How long will it take us to reach the Qingchuan ruins? Lu Ruobing was taken aback, not understanding why Du Fei suddenly asked this question. After a slight hesitation, she answered, Now that we have transport vehicles, it counts as mechanized marching, and it will take about a day and a night to reach the Qingchuan ruins. Exactly are we not going to eat or drink during the journey? Du Fei said sharply, and then added, For this battle at the Qingchuan ruins, the cooking team needs to send some people to ensure the food for the entire brigade. As the captain, I must ensure that the soldiers can have green vegetables and meat rice for every meal on the battlefield. As long as I am here, I will never allow my soldiers to suffer even the slightest grievance. His words were resolute and full of conviction. Lu Ruobing, Gonting, Sun Shaoqian, and others were moved, not expecting the captain to care for all the sisters in the brigade at every moment. All the female soldiers present were deeply touched. Ding. Prestige 10. Ding. Prestige. Ding. Prestige 10. Ding. Prestige 10. The system notification sound echoed continuously in their minds. Du Fei chuckled to himself, lowered his head, and no longer paid attention to them, starting to work seriously. 10 days passed in a flash. Outside the Women's Combat Brigade camp, the female soldiers were immersed in immense joy. The previous 2 wheeled armored vehicles had transformed into 2 brand new tracked vehicles. The two conventional drones that were salvaged had been modified into two strangely shaped drones. The two Land King tracked vehicles, two Predator stealth drones, and three transport trucks gleamed with a silver-white light under the sunlight. Is this our Land King tracked vehicle and drones? Xia Ying caressed the tracked vehicle covered in secret silver, her eyes filled with excitement. Quick, take a picture for me. Ying Bao, we want to join you. Lu Ruobing and several female soldiers hurried over to stand next to Xia Ying. The weapons and equipment are very complete, and they look really impressive, so uplifting. Wow, so valuable. Ganting, what about our drones? A female soldier asked. The drones are even more impressive. They were handcrafted by our captain using pure secret silver, and we won't sell them for any amount of time. Ganting responded. What about the performance of these two drones? Performance is temporarily classified. Ganting glanced at Du Fei not far away, her pretty face revealing a hint of mystery and pride. Under Du Fei's guidance, she had completely mastered the various performances of the Predator stealth drones. Du Fei also mentioned that these two killing machines would be entrusted to her control. She would become the first person in the brigade to fly a drone. How could she not be excited? With everything prepared, the next step was to enter the debugging phase for the Land King tracked vehicle and the Predator drone. Du Fei exchanged 700 reputation points for 7 energy crystal stones, powering everything, including 3 transport vehicles, with these crystals. These energy crystals can provide power for a year each, completely eliminating the dependence on fuel. All personnel, take your positions. Report the vehicle's operational status. Report. Land King No. 1 has started normally. All data is functioning properly. Standing by. Report. Land King No. 2 has started normally. All data is functioning properly. Standing by. In the command room of the Land King tracked vehicle, Lu Ruobing reported while focusing on the control panel. Xia Ying followed with her report. Activate the all-round defense system. Test the autocannons, machine guns, and Gatling guns. Du Fei commanded. Received. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Rat-a-tat-tat. Boom. Boom. As the ground shook violently, the two Land King tracked vehicles crossed ditches, surmounted hills, and sped forward. In the distance, the desolate mountains echoed with artillery fire, rocks flying everywhere, creating an extremely shocking scene. Report. The autocannons have a lethality range exceeding 6,000 square meters, and the machine guns and Gatling guns accurately hit over 300 targets. Report. The command system, encrypted communication system, vehicle speed, and weapon equipment data have all passed the tests, and we are ready for battle. Very good. At this moment, a weight lifted from Du Fei's heart as he exhaled steadily. He was about to witness the performance in action. It should be noted that the various blueprints exchanged from the technology library were not one-time use. They had long been imprinted in Du Fei's mind. If the Land King tracked vehicle performed outstandingly on the battlefield, he had no qualms about producing a few more or even manufacturing them in bulk. Ganting, please respond. Ganting received. Ganting received. In another independent control room for Land King No. 1, Ganting replied while wearing headphones. It's your turn now. Yes, Commander. Ganting took a deep breath and pressed the start button on the control. Buzz. 2 Predator stealth drones at the camp began to shimmer in the air and slowly took off. Miraculously, once they reached a height of over 10 meters, the 2 drones seemed to merge with the air instantly, becoming invisible and disappearing from sight. At this moment, Du Fei was secretly astonished, feeling a bit incredulous himself. This is truly invisibility. He had thought that the so-called stealth capabilities of these drones were merely to evade radar detection. He did not expect them to block vision entirely, making them completely undetectable. No wonder they say it's cutting-edge technology. It's no surprise the introduction states they are not subject to the eye of heaven's oversight. Even if the eye could detect them, they would merely be classified as unidentified flying objects. Ganting, where are the drones now? Du Fei asked. Report, Commander, they are 15 meters above your head in a hovering state. Ganting looked at the control panel screen and said excitedly. Through the drone's surveillance camera, she could see the entire camp's layout clearly on the control panel. Zooming in, she could even see the expressions on Du Fei and all the female soldiers' faces. What? 15 meters above my head. Du Fei looked up at the sky and found it empty above him. Goodness, it didn't even make a sound. Order. Start testing the Predator stealth drones. Yes, Commander. Ganting gripped the 2 control sticks, maneuvering deftly. Report. Overall control, AI, autonomous programs, weapon equipment, and other data are normal. Current altitude is 6,729 meters. Heavens. Speed. 9,100 kilometers per hour. Achieving 7 times the speed of sound. Fantastic. Ganting was stunned, excitedly shouting. Beep, beep, beep. At that moment, 3 red dots appeared on the control panel screen ahead in the clouds. Ganting momentarily froze, and the 2 drones swiftly passed above the 3 red dots. She quickly slowed down, took control of one drone, and set the other to autonomous AI mode, designating it to follow in escort mode. Then, performing a beautiful spiral maneuver, she turned the drone towards the 3 red dots. Report Commander, there's a situation. What situation? Ganting reported. 3 Level 2 stealth-wing beasts detected at longitude 117 latitude 43. 9. Should we shoot them down? Du Fei let out a breath of relief, thinking it might be a problem with the drones, and asked, what is the status of the drones now? The drones are in good condition, currently flying 30 meters to the right of the 3 Level 2 stealth-wing beasts, and those 3 clueless creatures are completely oblivious. Ganting teased excitedly. She never expected the drones could get so close to the 3 Level 2 stealth-wing beasts without being detected at all. Conversely, the 3 Level 2 stealth-wing beasts were also in stealth mode, yet they were thoroughly detected by the drones. One could only say that the Predator stealth drones created by the commander were truly remarkable. Permission to shoot them down. It's a great opportunity to test the drone's weapon performance. Du Fei commanded. Sure thing, dear Commander. Should I go for the micro-missiles, grenades, autocannons, or Gatling guns? Ganting mischievously asked. Look at you showing off, just decide for yourself. Du Fei reproached helplessly. Yes. In the control room, Ganting stuck out her little tongue and then looked at the screen. It's you. Take this shell. She targeted the nearest level 2 stealth-wing beast and pressed the auto. Pew 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 pew. The main drone fired a barrage of shells. Boom boom boom. Flashes of fire erupted in the clouds as the level 2 stealth-wing beast exploded on the spot, completely unaware. Killed a level 2 time beast, gained 3,576 hours. External female combat team storage card, received 3,576 hours. Report Commander, we killed 1 level 2 stealth-wing beast and gained 3,576 hours, which we directly received. Ganting was extremely surprised, as if she had discovered a new world. The Predator stealth drones are not subject to the Eye of Heaven's oversight, so the time gained from killing the Time Beast naturally avoids the 20 cut from the Time Federation. Du Fei said. P.S. The time generated from killing Time Beasts will only enter the storage card held by the killer. If a non-Federation storage card is used, the time will go into other cards held by the user, but currently all humans are using Federation storage cards. The Eye of Heaven not only monitors the legions, but also serves as the Federation's time collector. Any Time Beast killed under its surveillance will automatically incur a 20 extraction. If a Time Beast is killed outside the Eye's monitoring, the Eye cannot take a cut, but the time from the beast will still automatically enter the killer's storage card. This means that the time produced by Time Beasts is recognized solely by the killer in their storage card. Even if the card is not a Federation card, it will still automatically enter as long as it is a storage card. Damn, there are such benefits. Ganting exclaimed excitedly, her body trembling. She had a knack for managing funds and was sensitive to money. The 20 cut from the Time Federation had been a constant worry for her. Previously, a portion of the time gained from each Time Beast killed would have been deducted, which made her feel very distressed. Now whatever time is gained goes directly to her account. With the Predator stealth drones, she would no longer be exploited by those reprobates. Ganting felt relieved and delighted, her anxieties completely resolved. Gaga gaga. Roar. At that moment, the other 2 level 2 stealth-wing beasts were alarmed. One particularly aggressive Time Beast roared, revealing its true form and entering combat mode. However, it flapped its wings, but could not find a target to attack. So ugly, representing the commander, I will eliminate you. Ganting decisively pressed the Gatling button. Rat-a-tat-tat. The drone's fiery tongues erupted, unleashing a volley of large-caliber silver bullets. Roar. The agitated level 2 Time Beast let out a tragic cry as its body was turned into a sieve, plummeting from the clouds. Killed a level 2 Time Beast, gained 3,920 hours. External female combat team storage card, received 3,920 hours. As the storage card received the credit once again, Ganting squinted her eyes, raised her middle finger, and gently blew on it. She tried to look cool for a second, only to find that the remaining level 2 stealth-wing beast was already fleeing in terror. Let you run 3 kilometers first. Beep beep beep. Air-to-air micro-missile has locked onto target. Launch. Ganting pressed the micro-missile launch button. Whooshed. A 10-centimeter diameter, 30-centimeter long micro-missile arced through the air, rapidly chasing after the level 2 stealth-wing beast. Boom. Killed a level 2 Time Beast, gained 3,783 hours. External female combat team storage card, received 3,783 hours. Yage. Ganting clenched her small fist, feeling ecstatic. Report Commander. The Predator stealth drone tests are complete. All data is normal, and it can be deployed in battle. Very good, no need to land. Return to the camp's airspace and hover on standby. Du Fei commanded.